Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports.
When it comes to
Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
It's here. It's time. There's always a buzz in the air when you hit this moment.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
We will develop men. We will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
I think of him as this hawk. Before long, he's going to be swooping in on those quarterbacks.
And they embody what the school is about. It's about getting into hard situations and getting ourselves out. It's about working hard. It's about doing amazing things.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Well, the last episode of TexAgs Live from the NFL Combine 2026. David Nuño, Olin Buchanan here. We are brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're here in our new Raleigh Insurance Studio, at least for one more day in Indianapolis. This is the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. And as always, the Holistic Planning Cool Zone. These chairs, at least, they travel.
They travel.
What's up, buddy? You backed out yet?
No, I can't be. Still got another day to go. We've got KC Concepcion and Le'Veon Moss today.
Yeah. We talked about it off air, but the older you get, the more travel takes out of you, doesn't it?
It does. I'm
River Nuño
yeah,
would be.
Right. I'm falling asleep pretty early. Can't wait to get home, but there's still work to be done.
Yeah. Well, let's kind of start with what we saw yesterday. Well, actually, I'll start with what's on tap today.
Okay.
So at 9:30 Central, KC Concepcion, and at noon, Le'Veon Moss. Two big pieces of that offense last year. And really going into the season, I don't remember what our 25 and 25 ended up at, but I do know Le'Veon was number one, and I'm assuming KC was in the top three, if not top five, heading into the season.
Yeah, I don't remember either. I definitely top five. There was no doubt, I think, in anybody's mind that had seen him play when he was at North Carolina State, that about his talent.
Yep.
And the only question's always been about Le'Veon is keeping him on the field. When he's on the field, he's a difference maker, always was. And hopefully NFL teams will see that, and he'll be healthy, and he'll have a long career.
If you're not a premium subscriber, you're missing out. There's a thread going on as things are happening at the Combine, what these guys are running, all their events. So you should be on there. It's being updated constantly. There was a tweet, I'm trying to look it up right now, on KC that basically said he's one of the most popular guys here, that he's already spoken to 25 NFL teams, that people are really, really interested in KC.
They should be. He's a good guy, seems to be anyway. I know his teammates loved him. He's cooking for them all the time. He's an explosive player. And he has that versatility as a receiver and a kick returner. And let's not forget, he can run.
He can.
Touchdowns too. So, Look, the only thing that someone would look at KC and put down as a negative is he's not 6'4".
Yep.
And I know Daniel Jeremiah said, his hands are an issue because he dropped 7 passes. Like 7. 7, okay. I'm sure that's accurate, but I can remember one, and I think it was against South Carolina.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he redeemed himself. I can remember him making a really amazing, a really effective adjustment on a deep ball to catch the ball at the 1 yard line against Notre Dame. Remember that?
Yeah.
So, and you see a lot of stuff like that from KC. So, I can give him my highest praise and say I would be thrilled if my team drafted him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, good guy, very productive, and I think that relationship worked out great for both. It gave KC a different spotlight playing in the SEC for Texas A&M and one of the best offenses in that conference, and also it worked out great for A&M.
Well, it was definitely mutually beneficial. KC got a chance to play at the highest level against SEC teams and showed what he could do. with a good quarterback. He'd shown what he could do with a good quarterback when he was a freshman.
That's right.
His numbers dipped as a sophomore because the quarterback play wasn't as good. And then, he came in and was just spectacular against SEC defenses. Again, if he was 6'4", 6'3", maybe even 6'2", I think he's probably about 6 foot, maybe a shade under.
Oh.
If he was taller, I think he'd be a first-round draft choice without a doubt, probably a top 20 pick.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think there was a mock draft. I think I told you yesterday, Mel Kiper didn't have any Aggies in the first round. I think that's going to go back to a couple guys, especially the way Cassius ran yesterday. We'll get into that here in a moment. The other guy going today, Le'Veon Moss. And he's got a special place, I think, in most Aggies' hearts because of what it could have been, what could have been, and also what it was, because he was fantastic when he was available.
One of the things I liked about Le'Veon Moss, I got to know him a little bit. He came here. He'd been, I think, committed to Alabama and decided to come to Texas A&M. And, of course, they all think that as soon as they arrive as freshmen, they're going to be stars. And he got very frustrated.
He did.
Because, he wasn't playing because they had a guy named Devon Achane.
Yeah.
So, of course, he's not going to play. And he resisted the urge to leave. He probably could have gone to LSU. And he told me one time, I was really seriously considering moving on, and just thought about it and decided, no, I'm going to stick it out. And he ended up having a good career, and it would have been a great career had he been able to stay healthy.
Yeah.
And through no fault of his own. I always say, when he had his first injury, I think it says a lot that not only was it at the end of a 20-yard gain, but it was at the end of a 20-yard game where he could have gone out of bounds. But instead he took on the tackler and took a helmet on the knee. And remember what he said about how he would still not run out of bounds?
Yeah.
Because I ain't going to run away from a fight.
Yeah, and there have been other Aggies, unfortunately, that sometimes did go backwards that would frustrate us in the press room. We're not going to say who that was. I see your face. You're already thinking about it. But so I talked to Brooks Austin yesterday, the film guy. We're probably going to run that here shortly. And when he was talking about Reuben Owens, one of some of the areas that Reuben needs to get better at. But he said with Le'Veon Moss, those +2 plays would turn into +6 plays because of the way he would just drive force forward and continue to get those extra yards. That was one of my favorite parts of Lev, was watching a play that looked like just a routine play, turning it into now 2nd and short.
Yeah, I can remember a touchdown against Notre Dame where it looked like he was stopped on the 1-yard line, but he just kept fighting and he fought his way into the end zone. And, A&M had issues over the last couple of years of converting on short yardage, but the issues didn't seem to be that prevalent when Le'Veon was playing,
right?
Because he was such a powerful runner.
Yeah, he was very powerful. Let's go over some of the guys that actually participated in drills yesterday. So the way it works here is you talk one day, and the next day you do drills, and the day before you're talking to NFL teams, or you're talking to NFL teams the whole time you are here. But let's go with Albert Regis, who had himself a day. And I believe it was Daniel Jeremiah said he made himself some money yesterday.
Did I hear right that he ran a 4.8840?
4.8840, 5th amongst all defensive tackles.
And he's a 300-pound guy?
He's a very 300-pound guy.
And, he's gonna interview spectacularly.
Yeah.
So when he goes out and shows that kind of speed, I think that raised the eyebrows of a whole lot of NFL personnel.
Would you like to hear more?
Yes, I would.
Okay, his vertical jump, 2nd amongst all defensive tackles.
Really?
34 inches.
Okay.
Broad jump, 15th, but he got almost a 10-foot broad jump, 9.8.
Okay. I mean...
15th
all time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that changes the conversation of defensive tackles. Sorry,
Right.
not 15th of the group.
No, but...
15th all time. Sorry.
So what
That makes a difference.
You're seeing is a guy that has the reputation as being just a run stuffer, showing that, no, I'm a whole lot more athletic. I'm not just a fat guy to take up space, which is almost a position, fat guy to take up space.
Yeah.
But that's not what he is. He's a big guy that can move.
So we were yesterday at a restaurant called Harry and Izzy's, which is I guess the sister company to San Elmo's, right? They're related.
Right.
They had we got the cocktail, the shrimp cocktail. It was good.
Yeah, it was good. But I'm with Shireen. I've had better.
Yeah, it's good. But while we're having the shrimp cocktail, up on the big screen, they're going through Cassius's entire day, and he had himself a day. Fourth amongst the defensive ends in running the 40, a 4.6. His 10-yard split was tied for first with a 1.58. His broad jump, 10th at a 9.7.
Athleticism has never been the question. Productivity has never been the question. And I'm sitting there yesterday watching him thinking, now what's wrong with his arms? they don't look like alligator arms to me.
Right.
So I don't get it. I think that's got to be just one of those things where they're looking for some reason to detract. But yeah, he came out and really put on a great display.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do the.
Hey, by the way, you know who we also saw when we were at dinner last night?
Remind me.
Remember Tyler Onion?
Oh, T.O. was there, yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't.
He was talking to some NFL team
I
there.
couldn't tell which team he was with, but somebody was whining and dining him.
Yeah, this restaurant we were at, all the NFL, like there were several folks that were participating in the combine, but all the defensive coordinators, assistant coaches, you can imagine. It was full of it. All right, let's run our mouths. 3 things we want to see this weekend. I'm keeping mine to basketball, but you can do whatever you want, OB.
Well, I would like to see the Aggies baseball team have a strong showing. Aren't they going up to Arlington this week? And it's a step up in competition.
Yep.
And so really would love to see them continue the strong pitching and then, continue to hit. I know they're not going to be scoring 24 runs, but I'd love to see them show that they are a team that, can play and beat, not just play with, but beat some of the higher ranked teams in the country. So that's one. I want to see Rashawn Agee be Rashawn Agee. He had a double-double the last time they played Texas. So I want to see more of that. And Rylan Griffin, who's been kind of not himself recently.
Yeah.
Not bad, but the last time they played Texas, he scored 17 points. So more of that, Rylan.
I would love to see that. By the way, speaking of baseball, we'll still do a full slew of segments. Is that the way to say it?
Sure.
Yeah, a full array.
Whole bunch.
A whole bunch of segments with the baseball bunch in the 9 o'clock hour, and then, of course, Billy in the 10 o'clock hour. All right, so the 3 things, OB, that I want to see. I want to see basically what you just said, a bounce-back game from Rylan and Ruben. Okay. The guards have not been at their absolute best. Those guards have not, at least in this last game. So I want to see them come back to homeostasis, if you will. I want to see them, I think this is an obvious one, but win the turnover battle. They did not do very well in the turnover battle in the last game. They had 13 in the first half, 16 overall. These games, you've got to protect the ball, especially if it's going to be a tight game. I know the Arkansas game ended up not being a tight game, but you were there. You were within 4 with a little bit of time to go. So, let's keep those turnover battles down. And the obvious one, win the biggest game of the year, which is against your rival, unfortunately or fortunately.
Yeah, win this one, and then win the next one, and the one after that. But
and just keep winning.
Huge game.
All right, we're going to continue the dialogue. OB, we're going to talk barbecue, okay?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Third favorite dish. Oh, yeah, you got to think.
Third favorite dish.
Third favorite dish at 1775.
I would say my number 3 dish would be the surprisingly, is the pork ribs.
Okay. I'm going to actually call it a draft pick. All right.
Okay.
So we're going to go in reverse order. Third pick is going to go to the pork ribs.
The pork ribs.
All right. Now with the second pick in the 1775 draft, OB takes?
The jalapeno cheese sausage.
Jalapeno cheese sausage. And now with the first pick in the 1775 draft, Olin Buchanan selects?
The succulent brisket sandwich. Because I love how... I found out early, it's or late, I guess you could say.
Late to the party.
It's kind of like when I was there, it was kind of like finding out Albert Regis can run a 4.8.
Yeah.
It was like I knew that there was something there and it was good, but then all those amazing juices just kind of commingled into the bun, and it just was it was shockingly good.
Well, Queso Mac and Cheese is upset that you didn't select him. That's okay. There's the supplemental draft tomorrow.
Well, the draft goes, 32 players in the first round. I just said 3, but the Queso Mac and Cheese would be my 4th pick.
And somehow you had the first 3 picks in the draft. Amazing. Anyway, 1775txbbq.com is the website. You can call them up, 979-492-6281. It is 1775.
And it's good.
Everyone, David Nuño here for Allen Honda. Had a great conversation with them earlier today. John Allen's the owner. He's been here forever. And also their GM, Rusty Skinner, great guy. Wonderful conversation. They're super local. They're a family-owned dealership, not some massive auto group. And they treat their customers like family because they basically are family. They're Aggie alums. They love Aggie sports, and they've been serving the Brazos Valley with integrity, with passion, and commitment to excellence for over 50 years, which is very rare, by the way, for the independents because people trust them. And that's why they've been doing it for such a long time. Whether you're looking to buy, lease, or service your vehicle, you can count on them for transparent, no-pressure experience that puts your needs first. And I can attest to it. Had a great conversation about my own situation with them. Their knowledgeable sales team will help you find the perfect Honda to fit your lifestyle, from fuel-efficient sedans to versatile SUVs. Leasing options are flexible and affordable, making it easy to drive the latest models with confidence. And when it comes to service, their certified technicians only use genuine Honda parts to keep your vehicle running at its best, whether it's routine maintenance for major repairs or whatever it may be. And we know that trust isn't given, it is earned, and that's why generations of local drivers right here in the Brazos Valley and Bryan College Station keep coming back to Allen Honda. As part of the community with Aggie spirit in their hearts, they are here to make everyone's visit wonderful. So visit their showroom or their service lane and find friendly, efficient, and memorable situations when you go to Allen Honda. Come see why so many College Station and Bryan drivers choose Allen Honda for their automotive needs, and remember, gig 'em.
All right, we are back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. The Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations in Indianapolis. And if you want to be a part of the conversation, you can do it multiple ways. They can call us up on the
Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline.
979-693-1150. You can also text us on the Catalyst.
Pure performance energy. Kind of what Cassius Howell and Regis gave them yesterday. Pure performance energy.
Yep, and that number is also 979-693-1150. And shout out to Snaps, another day of Snaps. Wearing right here, you can snap it on and off. It's fantastic. You'll love it. Check out snapsclothing.com. OB, A&M basketball versus Texas. Biggest game of the year. How does A&M beat Texas? A team that they've already beaten once.
They've got to play their game the way they do. I think you touched on it earlier when you said the three things you want to see. They're going to have to get production out of Ruben Dominguez and Rylan Griffin, two of their best players. Ruben has been in a funk. We thought he was going to come out of it, and then he only took 2 shots against Arkansas.
Yeah.
So, teams are obviously defending him differently, but you know what? That means there's opportunities for other people, and hopefully Rylan Griffin can have another, 17-point plus performance against the Longhorns.
Yeah, so I have a couple of stats here. So It looks like Marcus Hill, Rylan Griffin, Jakari Lane, and Ruben Dominguez combined for 22 points. Okay, that's a low number for that group. And they went 2 of 8 from 3 against Arkansas. This team to win games against these elite level teams or teams that are in the mix for the NCAA tournament, they got to go 11 plus threes, right? And they got to shoot at a better percentage. They have to. That's how and you need these guys. It can't just be Zach Clemens and Rashawn Agee. And we'll talk a little bit about Zach in a minute because he's been on a heater. But those guys have got to get those numbers closer to what we've seen throughout the year.
Right. They're going to have to play better. Now, hopefully, Zach Clemens can continue to be look, I don't expect him to go out and score 29 points, right? Mm-hmm. But hopefully he can continue to be a big factor in the box score.
Yep.
And, I do think Rashawn Agee's going to continue to do Rashawn Agee things. He worked over the 7-foot European. I struggle with some of those foreign names, but he worked him over in that game in Austin. And let's see if he can do it again.
Another area that they need to be good in.
Well,
how about protecting the ball?
I was going to say turnovers.
Yeah.
Typically, when they're winning, their turnovers are low, less than 10, sometimes more around 5 or 6. And typically, they get to the free throw line when they're winning about 20 plus times and make a high percentage. And then, like you just mentioned, they make 10, 11, 12 three-pointers.
Yeah, Texas is really good, or at least recently, they've been really good at getting steals, almost 5.5 a game. So protecting the ball is going to be so important. And also, I think OB to go along with that. I know you'll be at home, and that's a huge advantage. Yeah. And A&M's got to take advantage of that crowd. I think, what are they, 13-3 at home this year? So to take advantage of that crowd. But here's something. Don't dig yourself a hole. I know against Arkansas, you got up to 11-2. But then you found yourself, in a 17-point hole, and you had to dig yourself out. No digging, right? Like, let's not dig. Let's get a nice lead or keep it competitive and win at the end. But do not have to always play catch-up. I think playing catch-up against these elite teams is very difficult.
Well, I can dig it. I just would like to see the Aggies get off to a good start and just be consistent. Early in the year, and maybe even midway and maybe even recently, they just didn't have those long scoring droughts. Mm-hmm. And that's happened a little bit more frequently. And as as teams figure out what you have and as you get tired and all those things, it's understandable. But in this game, I think there's going to be so much energy in the arena, like you just said, that it's going to help carry them. And, if you can't play your best game against your arch rival at home in a game that you need to really enhance your NCAA tournament possibilities, then when are you going to, right?
Yeah. I think this styles make fights, as you know. And I'm hoping, this is a hope more than a hot sports take. I'm hoping some of these losses we've seen have just been that the style hasn't fit A&M and Arkansas is a talented team. You can kind of put them in a different category like Florida. But the Florida matchup was not a good matchup for A&M. I don't believe the Missouri matchup was a good matchup for A&M, even though A&M statistically should have won that game.
Well, they were shooting to win the game in the last seconds.
Right. But there are certain matchups that I don't think are good for A&M. I feel like this is one of those matchups that A&M can take advantage of. It doesn't mean it's not going to be a tight game. Doesn't mean that Texas can't beat you. Doesn't mean that Texas won't beat you. I just think this is a better matchup for A&M.
Well, I think it is. And look, they've already beaten them in Austin and had a pretty comfortable lead and almost let it get away.
Yeah.
And ended up winning by 4 and didn't have to make it that tense and stressful. But coming back home, I know Texas needs a game too, so it's going to be very competitive. But you got to feel confident. You've already beat them once, and now you get them on your home court.
And another thing, and they kind of go together. Either narrow the rebounding edge or win it. That'd be preferred. And just eliminate those second chance points that really killed you against Arkansas. Arkansas beat you there 18-4 in second chance points.
Yeah, that's kind of an issue when they lose.
Yeah.
Second chance points. And it's not that surprising because again, A&M's an undersized team. But what you can eliminate, because you can't get bigger, you're not going to grow taller, but just try to be more active a lot. When those rebounds come out long, go get those. Mm-hmm. I understand when it's close to the basket, and if Aggie doesn't get it, then everybody else is a mismatch. And in fact, Aggie's probably going to be matched up against a 7-footer at 6'8". Even though he's so strong, he'll get his share. But when the ball comes out long, like on a missed three-pointer, you got to go get it.
Yeah, you
can't be standing flat-footed watching.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to say, OB, is that A&M is gonna have to, if they win the game, then what? Because I think it allows them a little bit of breathing. The job is not done. You're not a guaranteed tournament team if you beat Texas. You're not guaranteed to be out if you don't beat Texas. But I do think if you win with 2 left, you can breathe a little bit. You don't have to be as tense, because another loss, 2 in a row, and a new losing streak, then you start getting a little more tense.
I still believe, and I may be kidding myself, that a 10-8 record in the SEC is going to get you in. I believe that. Now, I may be wrong. I'm not an expert on this. I'm surely not on the committee, and committees never do A&M any favors. We've seen that in all sports. So I would say, win this one. And then if you can win one more or 2 more, which would be amazing, finish 12-6. But if you can win this one, then if you don't win, I think Kentucky becomes a must-win. I still think, you could win at LSU and be 10-8, but then you're like, but it's LSU.
And what's your marquee win? Is it your Texas win from early?
Right. It would be your best win. If you can win this one, I think you're in, but you're in a position to nail it down if you can win on the road at LSU.
Really a great spot for A&M to be in. You got 2 games left at home out of your 3 games, right?
And the third game on the road is against the teams in last place.
That you should beat.
You have beaten. You should. They're better at home, and they're better than they were against A&M. They dang near beat Kentucky. Mm-hmm. But look, all 3 of these games, I think A&M wins if A&M plays a game that's a reasonable facsimile of what we see when they're playing well.
So what's the best game they've played recently? Which is the best game?
Well, I mean, I thought they played well against Ole Miss, but you'd expect to.
Yeah.
I thought they played well against Oklahoma on the road. You'd expect them to. But against a high-caliber opponent, Georgia, they just owned them.
And then Alabama, I think they played well against
they played offensively well against Alabama. But Alabama's a great defensive team. Most teams are going to struggle
defensively against them, too.
And, you might have won that game if not for a call that was reversed on an out of bounds.
Yeah, that's right. All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back. A couple things I want to get into the next segment. Plus, we'll talk to Laura Rutledge. We'll run that interview. Right now, headquartered right here, right there, because we're not there, but we're kind of there through the TV. in College Station.
They're in
Rollo Insurance.
spirit.
Yeah, we're there in spirit. And they're here with us in spirit. The Rollo Insurance Group shares our community values. They're an independent agency that works for you, not their shareholders. The team provides an objective consultation across all insurance lines available in Texas and beyond. Join thousands of Aggies who trust Rollo with protecting what matters most. When local matters hit home, like severe weather or regional economic shifts, Rollo agents understand the impact firsthand because they live there as well. Their independence means they can recommend solutions from dozens of carriers based on what's best for you. That's why so many local families in the Bryan-College Station area and beyond trust Rollo Insurance. The difference is real. Call them up, 888-44-ROLLO. That is 888-44-ROLLO, or visit rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs, rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs.
I wish I had Olin here for it because he loves energy drinks. Catalyst Citrus Spark. This is one of the new flavors out there. Whether you're grinding through workouts, cramming for a test, or closing in on a deal, or getting ready for TexAgs Live, you never know, right? Fast becoming the go-to fuel for Aggies everywhere. Zero sugar, I'm all in for that. Or synthetic sweeteners, no artificial colors or flavors. Catalyst delivers clean, high-performance energy with smooth, crisp taste that is never syrupy, designed for both health and hustle. You want to get going, you use this Catalyst right here. It's about pure energy and pure results. And what sets them apart? Packed with premium nootropics blended to boost focus, clarity, and mental stamina. I need this. I'm in, guys. I'm in. Plus, with plant-based caffeine, vitamin B12, B6, Catalyst supports metabolism and energy production, making it more than a drink. It's your lifestyle training partner. Built for competitors on the field, Catalyst fuels strength, focus, and pure results. Buy now at drinkcatalyst.com. That is drinkcatalyst.com. Train harder, think sharper, pure results. It's Catalyst.
All right, welcome back to TexAgs Live from Indianapolis. Thanks to our friends at Snaps Clothing. This show is brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio here in our makeshift studio. And, of course, this is the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. There'll be a lot to get into this segment, but I do want to talk about Heritage Films before we do that. As you guys know, my father fled Cuba in 1960. My mom left in the 60s as well. My dad had to escape. My mom was allowed to leave. There's a whole story behind it, but it was not an easy thing. They had to leave everything behind. The reason I'm telling you this part of the story is when we got to do our Heritage Film and my dad got to tell the story, there's a lot of those details that I had been told as a kid that I just didn't remember. That I kind of knew parts of it, but now we have it captured on video forever. My dad is 95 years old. He's still with us. But one day I'm going to be able to tell my grandkids, hey, check out what my pops did and how he got to this country and this amazing country that is the United States. So I'm just telling you, a Heritage Film for whatever your story is amazing for the future generations. I think you'll love it. Call Chance McClain up, 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341, or go to yourheritagefilm.com. That is yourheritagefilm.com. All right, OB, let's bank on something. You ready to roll?
Yeah.
All right, Bank on It is brought to you by Vera Bank, authentic relationship-based banking built for real life. Go see Joel Jackson and the team. Learn more at verabank.com. What are you banking on?
Yeah, I'm going to take the lowest of low-hanging fruit, and I'm banking on a double-double from Rashawn Agee again against Texas. And I think they're going to need him to play at his highest level. And again, being a team leader like he is, being as good as he is in a game against, he's learned as a rival, Texas, at home with so much at stake, I think you're going to see the best of Rashawn Agee. You might see the best game of the year from him. So I'm banking on a huge performance from Rashawn Agee.
Okay. I'm banking on Gavin Krahovic hitting 3 home runs this weekend.
3 home runs.
That's what I'm going with. And I know that we're stepping up in the weight class, but that's what I think he's going to do. He did it in the fall. He's done it since he's been back. I know he got a little injured. He's back. I'm saying 3 home runs from Gavin Krahovic this weekend.
I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe 3 from Sorrell, too. Are you going to go out there? What was this you had earlier this year? 6 home runs?
I was close.
Yeah, you were close.
I just had the wrong third person.
Yeah. Do we know if Hakonian, how's he say his name? Hakopian. Is he back in the lineup?
I don't know yet, but I'm sure the baseball bunch will have some insight to that here in about 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah, I've been up in Indianapolis, so I'm kind of detached, right?
Yeah. Hey, let's go to this interview. So I caught up with Laura Rutledge of ESPN, who does every job possible at ESPN. She does the NFL, she does the SEC. You see her everywhere. She's just a superstar there. Caught up with her about the Aggies, caught up with her about SEC football and the Big Ten. It's a good conversation. Of course, caught up with her about the NFL Combine. Here's my interview with Laura Rutledge. We're here with Laura Rutledge at the NFL Combine. What's up?
What's up? It's so good to see you.
Great to see you, too.
This is great. Like, the NFL Combines, there's a lot of NFL people here, but I love when my college friends get to sort of cross over in this world, so it's great to see you here.
So how do you make time for everything? Like, not only your gigs at ESPN, but taking in all that content. Like, you're watching NFL, you're watching college, SEC, you name it.
My brain is scrambled eggs most of the time. I think, honestly, it's a lot to juggle, but I always kind of look at it through a lens of just being really grateful. So anytime I'm like, man, I don't know if I really feel like, spending 3 more hours prepping for whatever is next. It's very easy to remind myself why I'm so lucky to get to do this. And I think the other thing about it is I'm a fan just like anybody else is. So actually as a fan, I love getting to look into this stuff. And whether it's watching games back, whether it's looking back at old interviews that some of these players did, and all that's fun. The cool thing about this is it's finally the intersection of my 2 worlds. Yeah. So I've been in the college world and then the NFL world very separately during the football season, but this is where they start to cross over, and I find this extreme joy in watching my NFL people fall in love with these college players. It's just really neat. I'll be texting Orlovsky hey, have you watched his tape yet? What do you think about Jeremiah Love? Whatever it is. You could go down the list of all these different players, and it's neat to see them really start to love these guys that I've been fortunate enough to cover for a few years.
So the last time I saw you was at SEC Media Days, and we're talking about the what if for the A&M program.
Yeah.
They didn't reach their full potential just yet, but they did make the playoffs at 11-2. What did you think of the year?
It was a really neat year, and it still kind of breaks my heart to think about the way it ended. We were there, the game against Miami. By the way, wind tunnel of a game.
Yeah.
The conditions were wild, and it was just a bizarre game. And I still feel like A&M, what you said is true. They were capable of more. I mean, that's just how stacked, how talented this team was. And, we'll see, like Cassius Howell, Casey Concepcion, these guys are going to get drafted high, and you see just the talent that comes from this group. And listen, there's some development that I think can happen with Marcel Reed, and things will be better next season.
Yeah.
They tasted it, right? They were so close. And I actually think, it's, sometimes Monday morning quarterback, but I think if they had advanced past Miami, I think they might have figured some things out to get a little bit better down the stretch and potentially have made it further than we would have expected. But amazing year and a lot to build on. And I know A&M fans at times have been disappointed with the way that it ended. I get that, even the last few weeks of the season, but there was so much to be proud of for sure. Well,
13 of those players are going to be here at the Combine. Some have already spoken.
Yeah.
To me, the next step is, do you do that consistently? Maybe not 13, but are you getting 8+ guys every other year or every year?
Well, and, that's going to be the task for Elko, right? And I think it's why, like, you saw him get extended. He should be. He's the 100% right leader for the program. And I think what we saw, too, that's neat, these guys were talented when they got there, but they also got developed at A&M, which that could have been lacking in previous regimes. You see, in the past, they would get these 5-star players, and some of them panned out. Some of them have had good NFL careers. Myles Garrett, great NFL career.
Right.
There's some you could point to, right? But you didn't see that consistently. This is the opportunity to show, like, okay, can we reload? And they're built to do that, right? And I actually think that great thing about last year is, guys who may want to go there, they saw him right till the end.
Yep.
They saw him in the playoff. That to me is one of the best things you can do when it comes to recruiting players, when it comes to getting, rebuilding, reloading your roster, is saying, well, look, we were right here in the playoff last year. We need you to come there, and we're going to be in position to do that again. That's a really good recruiting pitch. So,
how surprising is it for you, last thing, that the Big Ten has dominated the way they have the last 3 years, winning the national championship? But I'm a homer. Like, I still think the SEC is the deepest, best league.
I'm sure people will say I'm a homer for this too, but I do think that without a doubt, you just look at the strength of the SEC and day in and day out, week in and week out, what these guys are having to go against. It is a gauntlet. And I'm not saying the Big Ten is not in some ways. You're going to have some difficult games. These teams are great. What we saw out of Indiana is phenomenal. It's historic, right? Ohio State was a great team. There's teams that you say, yes, those are the cream of the crop, the top of the top. The SEC, I hate to pick on a team, but let's choose South Carolina, for example. South Carolina struggled at times this year and then gave a great team like A&M all they could handle, right? And did that to some other teams as well. It's just such a deep league that I think that's what ultimately factors in when it comes to teams not making it. I hate to bring up Texas on this show, but I would say they're an example of a team that, okay, put them in a different conference, put them in the Big Ten, see how they do. They would probably have had a better record, and it was their record that ultimately, of course, prevented them from being in the playoffs. So I believe the SEC is still the strongest league. The strength is within the depth of the league, but we are going to have to figure out some way to see more of these teams, make it there. I was just talking about Texas, Michael Taft.
There we go.
What's up, dude?
Oh, God, no. Oh, God, no.
Oh, gosh, I didn't even
TexAgs.
You can edit that out, but
No, I think we got to keep that
funny.
in, because we're going to get some hate for that.
I love it. It was my fault. Sorry, guys.
But anyway, thank you so much for your time. You're always such a pleasure to talk to.
Of course, appreciate it.
Thank you. Laura Rutledge.
Gig 'em.
Gig 'em. There you go. Hey friends, David Nuño here for Prize Picks. They're back on TexAgs, prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs to get $50 once you play in $5 lineups. And Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. Football season's here, basketball coming up, baseball, you name it. You go to prizepicks.com/TexAgs and start having some fun watching sports, making some money on there. And you can play Prize Picks in over 40 states, including California and Texas. Remember, they'll give you $50 in lineups once you play $5 lineups on Prize Picks. And they have the new thing. It's called It's Good to Be Right campaign, and they're kicking off the upcoming NFL season with their bold new campaign, It's Good to Be Right. The seasonal long push celebrates the thrills of getting it right, from the perfect prediction to winning your Prize Picks lineups. Prize Picks It's good to be right.
Final segment of the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations here in Indianapolis. Your final segment. You still got work to do today. Here
Yes,
in
I do.
Yeah.
Going to write a column on Casey Concepcion, probably a story on Le'Veon Moss, and maybe incorporate some notes in there.
Okay.
Things going on about some people's opinion on some of the offensive linemen that'll be out there tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
That we won't be here I won't be here.
I want to talk about the guy that I've really enjoyed covering and watching grow, and he was a man when he got to A&M, Nate Borkacher, but we asked him about his time at A&M, and I don't know if this soundbite we're going to run says this, but he did say to us that he still thinks he would have probably been at the Combine if he didn't transfer, but the A&M definitely did change his life. Here's Nate Borkacher talking about his time at A&M.
Man, I can't thank Texas A&M enough for everything they've done for me. I grew a lot as a person and a player in the short time I was there. It holds a special place in my heart.
And he's got a special place in Aggie's hearts as well. Big catch, big fullback at times, getting touchdowns that way, just doing everything, a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, he was such a find. And again, we've talked about it before. We never, when they added, hey, this guy from Nate Borkacher from Nebraska, really? Okay, so you're looking it up, and it's got 19 career catches, one career touchdown pass. Okay, all right, maybe he's going to, block somebody.
Yeah.
And he went out, and you got a whole lot more than you bargained for with Nate Borkacher. And then I found out that maybe one of the reasons he only had 19 receptions was he was playing behind a tight end that's in the NFL with the New York Giants at Nebraska. And so,
did you say that guy had like 34 catches?
Yeah, 35, 36 in 2024. And, but they still put him out on the field as a blocker. And if you can block as a tight end, you can make a lot of money. He can do that, but he can also catch, as we know.
The blanket now. We transitioned to the blanket. The blanket, we had a lot of things to talk about with Will Lee, about why they called him the blanket, about the Missouri game, about people avoiding throwing to him. Let's listen to him talk about that, OB, that there was a little chip on his shoulder when people would throw at him. Here's Will Lee yesterday.
Yeah, of course. That's the plan. I want to sit down the whole side of the field, and I want to show people I can do that. When teams throw at me, I kind of feel like it's disrespectful. When they throw the ball my way, they feel like it's an easy catch or an easy target, and I ain't going to let that happen.
He's not going to let it happen, OB.
He didn't let it happen very much.
Yeah.
Cornerback was a problem before he got here. And he took he cut that problem in half.
Yes, he did.
And I think about all the plays he made. You know, he doesn't have the great stats, even though 8 passes defended PBUs is not a bad year. You know, it went down from the previous year where he had 10. Because sometimes you got to throw that way, and we've talked. But look, he had the deflection in 2024 that Bryce Anderson returned for a touchdown against Florida. He returned a touchdown, interception, 93 yards for a touchdown against Texas. This year, he had that breakup on the goal line against Notre Dame, forced him to kick a field goal instead of getting a touchdown, and that turned out to be a huge factor in A&M winning the game. And he talked about some tackling. That's a big tackle he had against Mississippi State for a loss, and a big tackle against Mark Fletcher from Miami. So he's not just a cover guy. He can tackle too.
Yeah, he certainly can. All right, let's transition now to my interview with Brooks Austin, the film guy.
I love that guy.
He's really good.
Yeah, I like to watch his site.
Yeah, he's got great content, breaking down the Aggies ahead and also the guys here at the NFL Combine. Here's my conversation with Brooks Austin. Got to catch up with my guy, Brooks Austin, the film guy. What's up, buddy?
Nothing much, Nuño. Third year here. I feel like I'm finally in the groove. I feel like I finally know when to show up, when to leave. It's a very unique event for media people. You don't really, you think you're coming to the Combine, you're going to go watch the drills. We're not here to watch drills. We're here to do this. We're here to do content creation. This goes Monday through Friday, and then I'm out. I'm headed back home. So, no, I'm having a good time.
So, let's talk about A&M, 13 guys.
Yeah.
So before the season, you were high on A&M. Would you have expected this number of guys to get invited to the Combine? Because I think a lot of it's the development in the season.
Yeah, I mean, when you have success, when you have 11-win success in the SEC, you're going to have draft success. That's what happens. You're also going to have coaching retention, lack of ability to do so, right? When you have success, you're going to have guys come in and take your coordinators, like what happened to A&M this year as well. So when you see, I don't know if I expected 13 members here at the Combine preseason, but I did expect them to lead the league in rushing. I expected them to be a successful football team. I expected them to have ultimate success in the wins and loss categories, which ultimately plays out in this. When you win at a high rate, like I said, you're going to have a lot of guys here.
So doing what you do, how good are you at projecting what they're going to look like at the next level? Because you focus so much on the college game, but are you usually pretty right about guys? All right, Cassius Howell, this guy is going to be a player at the next level.
So I don't know if I'm as good as projecting what they're ultimately going to be, because I don't watch Sunday football. Yeah. I'm so consumed in college football. I was telling somebody earlier, I think I watched 3 NFL football games from start to finish. 2 of them were on Thanksgiving, and the other one, or maybe Christmas, and the other one was the Super Bowl. I don't have a lot of time to do it. Most Sundays I'm grinding college tape. So what I can do is tell you what people are going to say about them. I know Cassius Howell is going to be an elite edge rusher, but people are going to talk about his height and weight. They're going to say he's small. They're going to say he needs to run fast. They're also going to talk about limited exposure at the top end level, right, coming from Bowling Green. So I can kind of see from a scout side what people are going to look at and talk about negatively and positively about individuals, but I can't sit here and tell you whether or not a guy's going to be great in the league.
What about Casey Concepcion?
Yeah, what I know about him is he's going to get open, right? And I know that's a valuable skill set in the league. But one thing, again, with KC, you're going to have height and weight, conversations about him. I think running a 40 is really, really important. I don't know if we'll speak to him tomorrow. I think we get them. I think an important question to ask a guy like KC is, are you going to run, right? Are you going to run, and are you expected to run fast? I think the NFL is going to want him to run fast. But when you watch the tape, even dating back to his freshman years at NC State, he's an elite route runner, and he's a really good catcher of the football, and he's good after the catch too. So I think testing is important for a player like that, though.
You and I were talking yesterday off camera about Zay Horton joining the Aggies. You're high on what he can do for this offense.
I'm more high on the need, right? He played the Z position at Alabama last year because Jeremy Bernard was such a dominant X for that system. And I felt like, and I talked to you guys about this on TexAgs, I felt like that was the one offensive, obvious need, right? Obviously, when Le'Veon Moss got hurt, I didn't feel like the running back room was as good enough to be championship caliber. But the X position was a major need all year last year. Bethel Roman got better towards the end of the year as a young football player. Jerome Miles goes down or rehabbing from that knee injury coming out of high school. So there were reasons why. But adding a player like Isaiah Horton to me is such a big addition because he is that. He is a 6'3", 200-pound, well-polished wide receiver that's going to be a known factor. Hey, if I come to the line of scrimmage and I got 3 wide receivers over here and the 1 X over there by himself, if he's in man-to-man coverage, there's the answer. We don't have to do any more thinking. A&M didn't have that ability last year, and I think it inhibited their quarterback play, to be honest with you. You'll see that. Like, when you have a dominant X, the quarterback just plays much more freer because the math gets simplified, man.
All right, so you mentioned the running room. Le'Veon's gone, and they really didn't have him much the last 2 years.
No.
He played half seasons, right? So can Ruben Owens take a big step, and the rest of the room? Morrow showed quite a bit, and there's a bunch of young guys in that room as well.
For me, the Ruben Owens step has to be made this offseason, and it's a matter of contact balance, and we get that in the weight room. That's where we get that. He's got all the raw traits in the world, right? The raw, like, speed on that player. I think he was a 10 300-meter runner coming out of high school, was Ruben. So, like, we know he can go. What I don't know is if I touch you in the midsection, are you going to fall down, right? If I get you anywhere in your core, are you off balance, and do you no longer have that? That's what Le'Veon was so great about. It's like, oh, you hit me at +2. Right. It's about to be a +7. Well, last year, if I hit Ruben Owens at +2, meaning he gets 2 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, and I hit him, it's a 4-yard gain. Well, buddy, now it's 2nd and 6, and it's about to be 3rd and 7, and we're about to punt. That's a total different situation when it's 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 1. So right. I think getting that downhill runner again or having that get added to Ruben's game would be major for A&M this year.
Last thing for you on Marcel. You mentioned the running game not being there, which really affected him. I think also the offensive line wasn't as good at the end, and that was partially because of the defenses they face. First off, what do you think about the rebuilt offensive line, how quickly it can gel, and what that can do for Marcel?
I mean, you mentioned it, 13 players here. I think majority of those are what I call box players, right? They're either on the line of scrimmage or they're extended line of scrimmage players, tight ends, linebackers, right? Y'all took 19 portal additions, I think?
Yep.
18 position players, one special teams kicker. So we don't really count him on my network. No
David
offense
Alano.
to the kickers. No offense.
We needed it.
No offense. Okay, but of those 18 players that you added, real skill position players like football players, 13 of them are box players again. So you've committed again to that line of scrimmage-based football. So what it's going to be, what it looks like, I don't know. I'll tell you this much. If you're looking for like Wilcom Formsby to like come over here and be an NFL caliber tackle like what you just left, I don't know if that's what it's going to be, but he's a serviceable starter.
Right.
And we need 5 of those. We got to get 5 serviceable starters, and they added a few out of the portal. I've said this multiple times this offseason. I think A&M leads the country in I stole a starter from a conference member, right? It's like 2 from Alabama. It's 1 from Ole Miss. So like you grabbed another one from South Carolina, grabbed one from LSU. Like you guys go out and grab dudes that have played in this conference, and that's an important thing to do.
And that also buys time for the young players that you're developing to be able to be ready to go.
Correct.
And they did that a lot last year. They would put in young players, and they would rotate quite a bit.
And from like a cultural standpoint, we always worried about losing the standard when we lose old guys, right? Like these guys know how it's done, that type of idiom and cliche. When we bring in starters from this conference, we don't really have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Right? If I bring in a cat from Western Kentucky that had 1,000 yards, he don't know how to practice like an SEC guy. He just had great production. But if I bring a guy that's played 3 years at Alabama or 3 years at A&M or 3 years at, you know what I'm saying? Like he knows what the system is. He knows what 100,000 seat stadiums look like. He knows what that feeling looks like and feels like. So it helps out on our culture and our experience aspect of things.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
No doubt, bro.
Brooks Austin, the film guy.
All right, OB, that's basically going to do it for us. Have you enjoyed your time in Indy?
I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed visiting with the players.
Yeah.
And, seeing some people I haven't seen in a while.
It's a good experience. I don't know if this is look, A&M's got 13 dudes here.
It's like when I went to Hawaii, I went to a luau.
Yeah.
Glad I did it. Don't necessarily need to do it again unless there's 13 players from A&M again.
Yeah, well, hopefully that's the problem we have, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully every year. Oh, 15 players, why not?
Sure.
All right, OB, thanks very much. All right, coming up next, Luke Evangelist talking a little hoops. After that, the baseball bunch. After that, Billy Liucci and Ryan Brauninger. I'm going to try to join them at some point during that hour. You're listening to the world-famous TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. We'll see you in a bit.
Howdy, everybody. Welcome back into the Rollo Insurance Studio. This is TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers. I'm Richard Zane in the host chair today. To my left, Kay Naegeli. To her left, Luke Evangelist, TexAgs basketball analyst. We're going to get to pounding the rock here in just a second, but we've got to do some housekeeping things because David Nuño, Olin Buchanan up in Indianapolis as the NFL Combine rolls along. We haven't checked in with Reese Nygren at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Reminder, if you want to interact with the show, the number 979-693-1150. Reese is checking the Catalyst Pure Performance text line. If you want to call in on the Buppy's Catering and Bartending hotline, you can. With that, let's throw it over to Mr. Nygren and say, howdy. Reese, do we have anything on that Catalyst text line?
Good morning. I am currently getting it pulled up right now. My computer was tweaking out just a little bit.
Oh, no, not a computer tweak.
I know, but pretty quiet on the text line so far this morning. Not a whole lot.
Gotcha. Well, we do want to hear from you, 979-693-1150. As I said, Reese, while you're here, can you go ahead and tell us what's going on TexAgs today before we get to these basketball people over here?
I can tell you what's going on TexAgs today. Before a loaded weekend in Aggie sports, we have OB's NFL Combine Notebook, what he's hearing about Willie III and Nate Borkacher before they work out later today. We have Read Report with Luke and Justin, what went wrong in Fayetteville and what they must do in their final 3 games to go dancing in March. We have Around Texas by Jason Howe, where he talks about where in-state recruits are headed for visits and who has stood out across the state. And we have an NIL interview with Brandon Arrington talking about the difference in life from high school to college and how the Aggies at the Combine have motivated him. And later today into this weekend, we will have extended coverage from the NFL Combine from David and OB later today into the weekend, as 9 Aggies still have to go through some drills. Later today, an NIL interview with Tulsa transfer Ray Coney. And then this weekend, coverage from Richard in Arlington for baseball's 3-game weekend at the M&G Bank College Baseball Series. Full coverage of men's basketball versus Texas, softball coverage from the Texas A&M Invitational, and coverage from the SEC Indoor Track and Field Championship.
Reese, great job. Which of those events are you most excited about?
I would say the men's basketball game on Saturday against Texas.
Fair. Were you pumped about last night's win over Mississippi State at Reed Arena?
It was a big win. Very big win for the tournament chances for the women's basketball team. Much to the pleasure of Luke over there with the big smile on his face.
Reese Nygren over there in the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Guys, do you like how Reese talks with his hands? He's always doing one of these.
Yeah.
It's insane.
He reminds me of a politician.
Yes, something like that. He talks with his hands. Joni Taylor talks with her play on the floor. Yeah. Let's talk about it, right? Big weekend of hoops, right? Texas is going to play. Texas A&M is going to play Texas on Saturday afternoon. Then Joni Taylor and the women playing a regular season finale on Sunday in Oxford. But last night, we have to begin with that. A comeback victory in the fourth quarter for the women's basketball team. They've now won 4 straight, K. They're trying to play their way onto the bubble and then potentially into the NCAA tournament. Tell us your thoughts on that 68-64 victory over Mississippi State last night at Reed.
Yeah, it was a close one right up until the very end, and then you got to push from some of your depth. Elise Blow was firing on all cylinders towards the end of the match. I know Lamaya Hilton hit a big 3, but ultimately goes back to your 2 main players, Nicira Pryor and Fatmata Jana. They've recorded their fourth. Both of them have had 4 double-doubles in a row. A&M is 8-0 when Nicira Pryor averages a double-double in assists and points. So she's the key to that offense. She's the key to them having success, and she did that last night, right? They know they were pushing into the bubble. Mississippi State was listed as one of those last teams in. So if you will, they burst their bubble just a little bit. And right now, I just looked at the latest bracketology that was updated this morning. They are listed as the next 4 out. They are the very last team listed. So if they pull it out against Ole Miss, that would be a quad 1 win on Sunday. And
that would be 4 quad 1 wins on their resume, or 5? 4 or 5?
That would be 3 right now, depending on how things shake out, I'm pretty sure.
Gotcha.
But again, like from where they were in January, I probably wouldn't have even told you this, just being honest. Just like shots are falling right now, everything looks really good. And like I said, Nicira Pryor is the key to all of this. And with her, playing like she has recently, she's like the first player in a century to have 4 straight doubles in points and assists in the SEC. Like, she has been a great player in maroon and white. It's a shame that they only have her for 1 year, but they just got to keep up this pace.
It's been an insane turnaround. It's not too unlike what we saw from the men's team a few years ago. The women started 1-8 in conference, now 5 of their last 6. Luke, you're the basketball bard here at TexAgs. To be averaging a double-double is one thing, but to be doing it with points and assists is another thing. Ny'Sierra Pryor is an insane player. Seems like she's playing her way into all SEC acclaim. Not too much unlike your own Mr. Double-Double, Rashawn Aggie. Those two players have been key to success for A&M hoops on both the men's and the women's side this year.
Yeah, when I watch Ny'Sierra Pryor, she's like the Zakai Ziegler from Tennessee, but like on the women's side. She's just very smart with the ball, great hands defensively, and she's ultimately the engine for that team, and very happy that they've got it going. On the men's side, Rashawn Aggie, Mr. Double-Double, has played his way into probably a second-team All-SEC appearance right now if the season ended today, but obviously they've still got 3 very crucial games left, and ultimately how they perform against the size that Texas has and the athleticism that Kentucky has is going to come down to how Rashawn Aggie plays, and it's not necessarily to the importance of this team goes how Rashawn Aggie goes, because they're still capable of winning when he doesn't post a double-double, but when you do get 15 points and 12 rebounds from Rashawn Aggie, you always feel pretty good about A&M's chances to win.
Depth has been key to both of these teams down the stretch run, right? Last night, for the women, it was Celeste Blow. 6 of her 8 points, 6 of her 9 points came in the fourth quarter to lead that comeback. On Wednesday, it was Zach Clements, a career-best 29 points. Just talk about the depth and specifically, Kay, Celeste Blow's impact on this team.
Yeah, she's come in studio a couple times, and I've gotten to talk to her, and she's always Joni's always said she wants to be perfect, and we've tried to coach that out of her. But I really feel like that's been the difference in these last couple games, is them just hitting their shots, and outside of Fats and Nye, where else can you have success, right? Lauren Ware has been constant presence on this team for 3 years. She's the mama bear. She coaches them up on the floor, and they're really comfortable with her out there. So I think her just presence on the floor gives them a lot of comfortability. And then, we have to talk about Fats. She's also been great. She's a junior, and she'll have another year here in maroon and white. I know she's loved her time here, and she's also made such a difference on the floor. So it's really cool to see they had 12 new faces entering the year with this program. So it's really cool to see those faces just not only making an impact on the floor, but just, they are shifting this program, and they knew a push was needed really late to have any dream of NCAA tournament chances, and it's crazy to see it come to fruition.
Luke, we got to chat with Big Z yesterday as he stopped by, NIL interview. Really, really awesome dude. I enjoyed my time with him on Take 5. What does he provide this team as he has found his form down the stretch?
He is the size mismatch that this team was missing when McKenzie went down. He's the shooter that this team needs since Ruben Dominguez hasn't been playing as well. Without Zach Clements, I don't know if A&M has a win in the last month. I love this stat that he's got more points in the last 8 games than he did in his entire 4-year career at Kansas. And it all started with that 7-3 game where he had 21 points, and you're like, wait a second. He's always had this ability. It was always just about getting his confidence back up. And right now, nobody's playing with more confidence on this team than Zach Clements. And when his confidence is up, his ability is up, and he looks like a completely different player than what we saw at the beginning of the year. But he gives this team everything he has. He plays hard. He's not the most athletic player. He is the tallest player, and right now he can shoot the ball better than anybody else. And when Zach Clements is on, we saw it against Arizona State. We saw it against South Carolina. We saw it 2 nights ago against Arkansas. He has the ability to be the best player on the floor, and you just cannot say enough good things about a guy that was essentially a practice player at Kansas. He has really found a home in this system, and when he's on, this team is truly dangerous. He led that comeback where they trimmed it from 17 all the way down to 4, and if he doesn't pick up that 4th foul or foul out, you wonder how different that game would have been.
Clements is definitely playing with a lot of confidence, and speaking of confidence, I want to know your confidence level, Luke. that A&M's going to be able to manage this 3-game stretch, find themselves in a comfortable spot come Selection Sunday. And, of course, that begins on Saturday, tomorrow afternoon against the Longhorns.
Yeah, they'll be really comfortable on Selection Sunday if they just win 2 of their next 3. They've got 2 of their next 3 at home, and the one that's away, it's a team you've already beaten. They should be favored slightly in their next 2 games, probably their next 3. It's going to be a toss-up game, 55 to 45 odds on Ken Palm for all 3 of these games. But they've handled their business well this season, and if they can do it 2 more times in these final 3, they'll be sitting pretty regardless of what happens in Nashville. Anything less than that, they're going to need a win or 2 in Nashville to feel comfortable. But I think the minimum is they can get in with 1 more win here and a win in Nashville, but they're going to be sweating it out. But if you want to eliminate all doubt, just win these next 3 or win 2 of the next 3, and they'll be fine. But the bubble this year is really weak, which is great for A&M. The SEC as a whole is down from what it was last year. Thank goodness Bucky came in this year and not last year. It would have been probably a different story. But they've had a lot of things bounce their way, and if they can just get 2 more wins in these next 3, they're going to be in a great spot. But right now, the fact that they're even above the cut line and a whole seed line above the bubble is great for the situation Bucky took in. But yeah, they're about a 10 seed right now, barely clinging on to being above that bubble cut line. But everybody would have taken that when the season started. So they've got work to do, but they're in a more favorable position than they were to start SEC play.
I agree with you, Luke, and you say it a lot, around this office, that if he were to get in the tournament, it would be a heck of a job by Bucky McMillan his first season. And the fact that we're talking about the bubble in his first year with only 3 regular season games remaining is a testament to the work he has done this year. On the other side, the women's side, the fact that A&M is playing itself back onto the bubble is miraculous. There are some people out there on our boards that can't fathom that an 13 and 11 team overall is going to be in the conversation on Selection Sunday. Kay, I know you've been monitoring it. You've been looking at the metrics that are going to be followed, or at least we believe are going to be followed come Selection Sunday. What can you tell us about A&M's path to the NCAA tournament? What is it going to take? Is it as simple as 2 wins, 1 in the regular season, 1 in Greenville, or do they need to do even more to get themselves to a spot where they feel comfortable?
Yeah, it's up in the air, really. For me to feel comfortable, I think you need to win at least, obviously, in Oxford, and then I feel like you really need 2. That's where I would feel ultimately safe. Like I said earlier, they are listed as the next 4 out, and they're that bottom team. So again, and I want to correct myself earlier, they actually only have 1 quad 1 win right now with the way things have shaken up, but they have won 6 quad 1 and quad 2 games. They are 5-0 in that quad 2 category. So that's a resume booster. They do have a quad 4 loss that they suffered early in the season, so they are trying to make up for a little bit. And their non-conference schedule, they didn't play that many games, so unfortunately you didn't get a lot of games to kind of boost those metrics up. But yeah, I think you have to. I really think they need to win in Oxford, and if they don't, you have to win at least 2 in the SEC tournament. Right now, they're in sole possession of the 11 seed in Greenville. So they'll be playing that first day, and I really think they are proving to be one of the hottest teams in the country heading into this final stretch, and that's of course when you want to peak. It's just a matter about keeping this up. But I mean, the way they're playing right now, there's nothing that gives me any doubt that they can't do that.
One of the hottest teams in the entire country and perhaps the best women's basketball league in the entire country. As you continue to climb the standings in the SEC, that's only going to boost your resume. Guys, we have to wrap up this episode of Pounding the Rock, but first we've got to talk about the 2 games that are coming this weekend. Luke, we're going to begin with you. Lone Star Showdown. It's always heated. It is a big-time rivalry. The stakes are even higher considering both teams are playing on the bubble. 3 o'clock tip-off on ESPN2. Give me a couple keys to an Aggie victory and a regular season sweep that would be oh so sweet of the hated Longhorns.
Yeah, they've got their work cut out for them because every time they play Texas, the Longhorns look like one of the best teams in the conference the week leading up to it. The first time they played, Texas was coming off wins against Vanderbilt and Alabama. And earlier this week, Texas almost knocked off Florida. So A&M's got their work cut out for them. It all starts with stopping Dalen Swain, who looks like a projected first-round draft pick, first-team All-SEC player. He makes everything go for them. Nobody has more isolation points in the country than Dalen Swain. So A&M's one-on-one defense has to be great. That's potentially a situation where you see Zach Clements defending him to get a bigger body on him. If not, Rylan Griffin was the one that drew that matchup. But they mostly held Swain in check in Austin. Then obviously they've got to slow down Volkatitis, who is their 7-footer that Jamie Vincent dunked on twice. They brought the physicality to him in the first matchup, and they have to do that again. You just can't let him get going. So either Jamie Vincent or Federico has to step up in that regard and provide some quality minutes off the bench, because we know Rashawn Agee's not growing 4 inches overnight. They're going to need somebody 6'11" to combat what Volkatitis brings. And then obviously in Tremont Mark's potentially last game against Texas A&M, we know he has a flair for the theatrics and the buzzer beaters against A&M. You cannot let him get going. He had like 12 points in the first 10 minutes against Florida. He had that buzzer beater in Austin at the first half. The last thing every A&M fan wants to see is Tremont Mark getting going. So Marcus Hill's got to take his matchup personally. They've got to play great defense. This is an offense just as potent as Arkansas, and Arkansas just hung 99 on them. So can they defend without fouling and slow down Texas's prolific offense?
Plenty more men's basketball preview to come on TexAgs.com as Luke and Tom and Olin have you covered for Texas A&M versus Texas on Saturday. But then Sunday, it's the regular season finale. Joni Taylor and company, they're on the road. They'll take on Coach Yo and the 19th-ranked Ole Miss Rebels. 2 o'clock tip-off. Kay, your keys to victory and even continuing to build your bubble resume.
Yeah, I think at this point, you feel like you're at Nicira and Fats are averaging double-double. So I think the difference, and we saw that last night, is going to be how the depth can kind of step up when maybe, Fats has gotten in some foul trouble during that January stretch, and same with Nye. You had to take them on the floor, off the floor, and you had to rely on your depth to step up. And per se, they didn't really do that in January. They've hit that stride in February, so I think that's going to be really important. Cody McConan for Ole Miss, she averages 20 a game, so slowing her down is going to be key as far as the boards go. Lauren Ware and Fats have to be sound there and stay out of foul trouble. And I mean, there's no reason that they can't beat a team like this, right? They've already beat 2 top 20, 21 teams already this season, so they're absolutely capable of going on the road and handing them an L and ultimately, doing their best to get in the tournament.
Plenty of exciting storylines to follow on the hardwood this weekend. We'll obviously be dialed in. TexAgs will have coverage of both the men and the women as the regular season is winding down to a close. Kay, Luke, can't tell you guys how proud I am of you guys, pinch hitting and all the extra hard work you guys did this week. So keep it up. Great job. And while we're sharing some love, how about the panicking Cade Bickham himself? No meltdowns this week so far.
I know.
Great job, Cade. Keep it up.
Been great.
Keep it up. Keep it up. We're going to switch it to baseball talk next here on TexAgs Live as Ryan Brauninger and Scott Clendenin join me next for the Baseball Roundtable. Oh, Cade Bickham, you're doing a great job back there. Welcome into the 9:20 segment of TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers on a Friday morning. I'm Richard Zane. Baseball roundtable about to begin, but first we want to remind you, the SEC Track and Field Indoor Championships are in College Station this weekend. Action got started last night. Morgan Davis for Texas A&M won the long jump title, and today the field events will begin at 11 a.m., the multis at 12:30, and the track events at 4 o'clock over at the Fasken Indoor Track and Field. And then on Saturday, competition will wrap up. The field events begin at 2 o'clock. The track events begin at 4 as the Aggies hope to win a couple more conference championships. Gentlemen, how are we? Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Important weekend this weekend for Michael Early and the undefeated and 23rd ranked Fighting Texas Aggies.
I'll play devil's advocate there.
Go ahead.
I don't think that this weekend is going to be, if A&M goes on, if they go 1-2 this weekend and they struggle in a couple of those games, but they go on and they go 16-14 in the league, 17-13 in the league, will anybody care that you went 1-2 in Arlington? No. And just on the flip side, if they go undefeated this weekend and then they sputter out of the gates in conference play, is anybody going to care that you went 3-0 in Arlington? No. I think it is a step up in competition without question. It's a good test early for this ball club. I'm glad that they're going in confident to the weekend, but in no way, shape, or form, in my mind, is this indicative of how the rest of the year is going to go.
Of course, and I agree with you, Bronny. It's just, for me, the way I look at this weekend against Virginia Tech and UCLA and Arizona State, it's another opportunity for A&M to test what we think we know about this ball club, but what we truly know about this team will, come to fruition and become crystal clear as we move into April and May.
I would think it would be a more indicating factor if you told me that Chris Akopian and Wesley Jordan were going to be healthy for every pitch thrown this weekend and available for every pitch thrown this weekend.
Yeah, because I think that offensively, you've had a couple guys that not only have the pedigree, but they also had the start to the season you wanted to see in them, and they had to come out. Now, it's opened the doors for some other guys to get out there, and I like how it's helped with the depth of this team. Sawyer Farr, in particular, has just been a guy that has jumped in there and, given them the flexibility they needed. And it also gives them a chance to move Travis Chestnut around. I don't think if you're going to be able to do that if Farr isn't playing the way he is. And I think that, your offense can be better. Notwithstanding, I was shocked that Lamar, even with, how they approached pitching staff, was going to have A&M do that to them and the pitching staff. But it showed me that the approach and the focus that this team has on what they want to do as far as balls in the strike zones and balls outside the strike zones continued on Tuesday night. And because it was a neutral to strong wind blowing out, the offense just exploded.
Well, they got checked.
Yes.
Let's not beat around the bush. Coach Early was kind of coy when he talked to the media about that team meeting after the Saturday game against Penn. It was stern. It was very stern. And he got his point across. And to the kids' credit, they responded. So, there's some things that you can do with a butt chewing. The manly thing to do is take it on the chin. Whenever you know you're at fault, you take accountability for it, and you fix it. And you don't complain, and you don't point fingers, and you just go fix it, and they did. So I was encouraged by that because the quality of the at-bats on Sunday against Penn was immediately better. I had no issue. I think I said this on Monday with David. I had really no issue with Friday night against Penn. Their starter is going to go to North Carolina next year. He's got real stuff. That bullpen guy on Friday night, talked to Wyatt Hensler after, was like, oh, yeah, he ate me alive at Penn. He's really good. Saturday's a different story. Saturday, your plan was non-existent. You got completely away from the mainstays of what you want to be as an offense, and it tanked. And, to kind of tie it into what we're looking at this weekend and what we're looking at long-term with Texas A&M, that is a perfect game of why I think Chris Akopian is so important to this lineup, because he's a streak breaker. He's a good at bat haver consistently. He's not going to go up there and expand the strike zone. He's not going to go up there, and Caden Sorrell may be the best player in the country, but Caden Sorrell will expand the strike zone and he'll swing at balls out of the zone. Akopian's not going to do that. So whenever the offense is sputtering and you just need somebody to have a good at bat and get to first base, Hakopian is your best guy at doing that. So he could have made a big difference in that Saturday game for the entire offense, not just one spot in that order. He can affect what's going on around him in a major way. So to kind of tie it all in back to the question you talked about this weekend, is Hakopian going to be healthy? And then again, he's had over about 2 weeks off now. How sharp is he going to be? But still, his presence in this order going forward is a massive piece to the puzzle, even with as good as Sawyer Farr's played, with as good as Chestnut's played, TK, all these other guys. Chris is a major league prospect. And just like we're seeing with Mike Elko in the football team, sending 13 guys to the combine, you need that in baseball too, especially in this league. You can't win without some major leaguers. That 2022 team is like the outlier. But you got to have major league prospects and major league players on your pitching staff and in the lineup for you to win consistently in this league. And Chris Hakopian's one of them, so they need him back.
Scott or Bronny, what's the latest you're hearing regarding Hakopian's status for this weekend, and then Wesley Jordan, who we also haven't seen for a couple of games, and then Scott, with those two guys on the shelf, and even Caden Sorrell missing a couple of games, how impressed have you been with the depth of this team thus far?
Well, quickly, I'll just say Hakopian, I'm leaning toward him playing tonight. Don't know that for sure, but I'm leaning that way. Don't think Wesley Jordan's going to be tonight, and probably not tomorrow. So hopefully you get him Sunday, and he's always been hit only. But if you can't swing, if the lower body injury is bothering you can't swing, then as a DH, it really affects what you're able to do.
Well, and I think we talked about last Friday about Jake Dewar doing what he needed to do. And
Jake Dewar's been great.
And I thought that what he has done since then really has picked it up and been the guy. Because like Hakopian, he's a guy that is a hit guy that you expect to, not chase and give you an opportunity to see him on base. And I thought him going, some guys, how do they react? Well, we don't know how a guy's going to react when you take him off the field and made him the designated hitter. It was fine for him. And I like that, he has been a doubles machine. Some of that was the conditions have led to some of his being doubles that have been right at the wall. And then, I think that for, Sawyer Farr, what he did the other day, that was a game plan against him that had success last year that Penn tried to duplicate, and he got the tying hit on it, and then he didn't chase for the walk-off walk. He's in a good spot. I like the double that Chestnut hit down the line as much or more than the home run.
I like it more than the home run.
Because,
I would like a backside single from Travis more than that. And I'm not a shot at Travis.
Right.
But when he gets out of himself, he becomes less effective.
When the double was perfect, that's exactly what you wanted to see him do, because you turn it into a triple and then you turn it into a Little League home run anyway, because then you score when the pitchers can't, get the ball to the catcher. So, that's the best of his game and not that. But I really only thought I saw one wild swing the whole night on Tuesday, and everybody stayed within it. So I think the depth is getting better. I tell you what's going to be a key this weekend. Arizona State how they run the bases. They got 25 stolen bases. How the coaches play the two catchers and who goes out against Arizona State will give you a preview what's going to happen when you see running teams in the SEC, because they're really good at stealing bases.
Sun Devils have a really tough schedule this week. They're going to be playing 5 consecutive SEC games. A&M will be at the tail end of that, so we'll see how their pitching is going to be able to hold up, because there's a lot of games for them this week.
Plenty more to come from Bronny and Scott here on the Baseball Roundtable. We're halfway home here on a Friday morning. You're listening to TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers. Continuing on with the baseball roundtable on a Friday morning edition of TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers, Ryan Brauninger, Scott Clendenin joining me, Richard Zane, inside the Rollo Insurance Studio. Gentlemen, lineup construction for Texas A&M has been an interesting topic because we saw the start of the year when they were fully healthy. It was Gavin Grahovic at the top, leading that big three of Grahovic, Sorrell, Hakopian. Since Hakopian and Jordan have been on the shelf, Terrence Gill II has gone up into the leadoff spot the last 2 games. He's reached base in 7 of his 9 plate appearances. Brauninger, we want to begin with you. What do you think about the Aggie offense with TK leading the way, and is that a long-term solution considering the success he's had given a short sample size?
I think TK's been great. One of the best things about TK is he's controlling the strike zone. He's getting hit by pitches. He's going deep in counts. He's taking his walks. But I do think that the best version of this offense has TK like 6th or 7th. And because you can almost split this order in half. And if you're looking at it from a Cliff Pennington perspective, if Terrence Gill II is on base with Grahovic, Sorrell, and Hakopian coming up, how urgent are you to try to steal a base? I'm really not, right? Not with those guys. But if he's at like 6 or 7, and I've got Bear Harrison or Chestnut or Boston Kellner coming up behind him, then I can probably press the gas pedal a little bit more and get him into scoring position. So I think if everybody's healthy, I like TK somewhere kind of hiding in that 7 or 8 spot, maybe as high as 6th. But if they're not healthy, then the way he's getting on base, I do like him in that leadoff spot. So it just kind of depends on the health of the club. And it's not a commentary on TK. You're seeing some highlights if you're watching with us on YouTube. TK hits the ball on the ground a lot. And that's fine. It's good for a guy that can run like TK. But there are going to be stretches where all those ground balls are at people, and he's not going to get on base at this clip by swinging the bat. So he's got to be patient and keep working his walks. And that's what I've been so encouraged with by TK. So if you're asking me this weekend, is Hakopian playing? If so, I think TK goes back to around that 7 or 8 spot. If he is not, I think he goes up to 1.
He's a second leadoff hitter wherever you put him in the lineup. Lineup construction isn't the same as it used to be. I mean, let's face it, it's not.
The term leadoff hitter happens once a game.
Exactly. But if you're talking about the leadoff hitter profile of having guys that are going to drive him behind him, I think that a guy that can turn a single into a double and then will always score on a ball in the gap if there's 2 outs, TK does that, and he's really good at it.
I like him hitting in front of Boston Kellner.
Yes, I do. Yes, you're exactly right. And if he hits in front of Dewar, if that's who's been a doubles machine, like I said in the first segment. So you have those guys that do you have a plotter on in front of him? No, you don't. And I think that he's got an opportunity to continue on. And I also like the juice he brings to the lineup. He's a guy that even when he's on the bench, he's one of the first guys out of the dugout to go teammate-wise, and when he's on the bases, when he walks, he's got a flair, he's got some juice to it, and I just like the fact that he is in a really good position, whether it's at the top or the middle of the lineup. I remember when our previews, I might have had him at 6, thinking, hey, are you going to start and have power again behind him? And this lineup can be constructed either way.
Yeah, that's why, again, you can really structure this lineup to where Jake Dewar is your swing guy in the middle. So when everybody's healthy, you go Grahovic, Sorrell, Hakopian, and Jordan. Jake Dewar is your swing guy, where he's got a little bit of juice, but he's a high on base, high bat to ball. There's your second leadoff, and then you work the back half of the lineup trying to get a single run. Where the front half of the lineup, you just go, okay, we're going to let you guys swing the bat and impact the baseball. I think that you can construct this thing when it's all going correctly in that manner. So, but nothing is more important than the overall plan of swinging at strikes, taking balls, and getting to first base. And you talk about lineup construction and Bear Harrison. It's something that Coach Early has said, and Bear is struggling swinging the bat. However, he's not struggling getting to first base. He's actually been really good at getting to first base. So in the context of team offense, think about it this way. If you're an Aggie baseball fan and you're like, man, Bear, we got to get Bear going. Take all of Bear's walks and hit by pitches and make them singles, because that's what they are. That's what Brad Pitt said in Moneyball. Do I care how he gets to first base? No. I just care that he gets to first base. So
he can't steal first. That has never changed in the game.
Take his walks and hit by pitch, turn them to singles, and what's his batting average? Looks a lot different, right? That's essentially what he's doing right now without getting the hit. So we know that there's more in there from Bear in terms of impacting the baseball and being an extra base and home run guy. But as long as he's going to continue to get to first base and catch the way he is, then you're making these two lineups. Could be your cleanup guy in the back half of that lineup. So if Bear Harrison is hitting eighth, I think this is a good lineup.
Yeah, because the guys in front of him can be on.
Yes.
And he can have an opportunity to impact the ball.
From team offense to the pitching staff as a whole, because we got to talk about those guys. They went something like 47 and a third or 48 and a third.
46 and 2/3.
Without issuing a walk until Tuesday night against Lamar. The staff, the numbers against the three teams they stack up against this weekend in Arlington, best in ERA, best in whips, best in walk allowed, best in opponent average, best and second best in strikeouts per game. Just the both of you, overarching, how impressed have you been with this pitching staff thus far, from the starters to the bullpen, and what else do you need to see to keep that confidence meter going in the right direction?
I mean, they're going to face an uptick in competition this weekend, so if they have similar numbers, then you're going to go, okay, like this is legitimately one of the top-end pitching staffs in the SEC and in the country. Right now, they lead the country in whip. I think it's at .74, and that's an incredible number. And we talked so much last year, people wanted to throw the pitching under the bus just because the bullpen was inconsistent early in the year, but they never had an issue throwing strikes. Like they threw strikes in 2025 just like they did in 2024, the same rate. They're throwing it at an even higher clip right now. So I like what they're doing. They've done that because they've given themselves an opportunity behind them to play really solid defense. Even with Partita taking his lumps at third, they've been pretty stinking good with the leather. And you have a pitching staff that has bought into a way that they're going to attack hitters, and it's led by Shane Sadeo and Weston Moss. Their personalities, their tempo, their pace. And then, everybody's – the one thing I'm just kind of perusing the message board, people are like, well, I'd love to see if we can get some more arms. Like, how deep are we in the bullpen? Like, how deep do you think college bullpens are? The best Texas A&M team of all time in 2024. Do you remember who the Sunday starter was for most of the year?
It was a revolving door. It was Ryan Prager Sundays, wasn't it?
Not in 24.
Oh, in 2024. No, I don't.
Tanner Jones. It ended up being Shane Sadeo at the end of the year. So, like, even the best Texas A&M team of all time had questions in the starting rotation, which I don't think you have with this club. And then out of the bullpen on that team, how deep was it?
3 players.
Cortez, Oshtenbeck, Rudis?
Yes. And Rudis was,
that was his worst year.
That was his worst year.
So, like, right now you've got Ethan Darden, Juan Vargas, Clayton Freshcorn, Josh Stewart, who have all been really good out of the bullpen. How many more do you really need? How many more do you expect that you're going to have on a college baseball team?
Yeah.
It's just not a reality that they're going to go 10 deep. Now, if you find some more, Hunter Vincent, Cole Hubert, whoever they may be, great. But I like where they're at right now. And I like the fact that no matter who you try out there, whether it be as a starter or reliever, they are throwing the ball unapologetically over the plate. They are going to get their brains beat in at some point. They just are. But you'll live with the odds every stinking day of the week with them throwing it over the plate. Lamar couldn't throw it over the plate. A&M walked 14 times. Then A&M gets 14 times, 18 hits. That's how you end up with 25 runs.
Yeah.
If you just get 18 hits, you're going to get a lot of runs, but you ain't going to get 25.
And Virginia Tech, they're the least of the 3 teams when it comes to offense. But Arizona State and UCLA are going to swing the bat and swing it in a big way.
Chalowski Gasparino on Saturday.
And Luval is, leading them and hitting at .412. And, and then Arizona State, we saw what they did this last week on Tuesday night. The offense was really good. They had 2 runs on Wednesday when they played Oklahoma, but Oklahoma had to ramp it up. Oklahoma took that seriously in game 2 after getting embarrassed in game 1. So, I think that what you're going to see on is an interesting matchup with UCLA and their number 2 pitcher, because they're deep. It's not just 1 and 2. And then the question mark is Arizona State. And you talked about that. They're going to throw a reliever that's got 2 wins and has 7 innings, but Alba does not have a start there. And he's been a strikeout in any kind of guy. So Aiden Sims continues to be huge. I saw a 2028 draft thing the other day, and I was shocked that he wasn't in it. That this is looking at this class long range, and I mean, but 2 walks, 17 strikeouts, you'll take that on your Sunday every day of the week. And he has been tremendous. And that's going to be a big matchup. I do think that UCLA has only gone to those starters 5 innings. And if they keep it at 5 innings, it'll be interesting what their bullpen does against A&M.
We'll flip the switch and look at the matchups in the A&J Bank College Baseball Series on the other side as we wrap up the Baseball Roundtable here on TexAgs Live. Going quickly here as we wrap up the 9 o'clock hour on TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers. And as a reminder, the final segment of the show is brought to you by Double Dave's. That is at 10:50. But right now, be caller number 12 at 979-693-1150. We'll hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a one large, one-topping pizza from Double Dave's, serving Aggieland since 1984. Double Dave's Pizza, serving up your favorite pizza and world-famous pepperoni rolls with a reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click doubledaves.com and your favorites are on their way. Gentlemen, Aggie Bank College Baseball Series this weekend. A&M has Virginia Tech tonight at 7 p.m., number 1 UCLA on Saturday at 7, and then wrapping it up on Sunday with some Sunday night baseball against Arizona State, 6:30 first pitch. What about those three matchups jumps out at you?
I'll just be quick. The arm they're going to face tonight is a big-time prospect. He doesn't generate the swing and miss that you'd expect, though, out of a guy that's going to have those type of numbers, especially velocity-wise. But it is a good arm, and it's a big arm. So A&M's going to, it may be something where it's presenting better to hitters than maybe it looks like on TV. Like the hitters, maybe he's got a short release length, so they're seeing it longer. But the velo numbers haven't really matched the swing and miss numbers yet, but it's a big arm.
Yeah, he's two-time third team All-ACC with a losing record. So there's some pieces there. He just hasn't put it together. He's got their one loss and then a no decision this year. Saturday, you're playing UCLA. It's huge. I might have wanted to see that on Friday night to be the key of the first one, and then a lot of Aggie fans could make it down for basketball as well. But we'll be up there and we'll get to see a great matchup. And then Arizona State, I think they're underrated. I think this is a team that's going to push towards the top of the Big 12. And what I was really impressed with them, even in the loss, because how Oklahoma. Got to give them credit.
They look like a regional host.
Yeah, they got to give them credit on how they fought back at the end of the game for Oklahoma. But up until that point in time, up until the ninth inning of Game 2, Arizona State had handled Oklahoma, and that was everybody's darling as the best surprise team in the country this year, and the hottest team in the country.
They're physical, they're athletic. I don't know how they're going to pitch, but they're good enough to host a regional.
Brett Renfro tonight for Virginia Tech. The Aggies will see the projected first overall pick in Rock Chalowski on Saturday. And then Landon Harrison, who's from a baseball family, leads that Arizona State offense. Gentlemen, thanks so much. Scotty, safe travels up there. Bronny, enjoy diaper duty. Next on TexAgs Live, it'll be the man himself, TexAgs co-owner, executive editor, Billy Liucci. Lunch with Liucci when we return on TexAgs Live, brought to you by David Gardner's Jewelers.
It is 10 o'clock on a Friday morning. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Inside the Rollo Insurance Studios, Richard Zane is hitting the road to Arlington to cover the Aggies this weekend. So it's me, Ryan Brauninger, in the host chair for the final hour as we get ready to welcome in Billy Liucci on the Buffy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Looch, good morning. Are you headed this way, or we got you on the phone for an hour?
No, just this segment.
Okay, good deal. Hey,
I didn't know I had you. I had no idea I had you in there, Barney. That kind of changed up the dynamic today.
What's that mean? You had something planned for Richard?
Well, it goes from kind of boring, low tone Zane to unusually upbeat Brawny.
Hey, we had a good night with the baby last night, and I've double dosed the caffeine, so I'm running a little hot this morning. And speaking of running hot, how about a great segue here into what Cassius Howell and Albert Regis did yesterday? I wanted to start there with the NFL Combine, and look, man, these guys are going there, and this was something that Mike Elko made it a point to try to do, was increase Texas A&M's NFL profile, and he talked to you extensively with y'all sit down the other day about that, and then to have these guys not only show up in number at 13, but then to perform like they have. Like Cassius Howell was always kind of in that early second, late first round projection-wise, but what I think Albert Regis helped himself more so than anybody maybe up there. Like he was sensational yesterday.
Yeah, I think, I don't know who helped themselves most or whatever. You start to see guys like Styles at Ohio State, and there were some remarkable performances turned in. But I think as far as if you're doing an off the radar, if people were doing kind of an off the radar standout, I think Albert Regis' name would be near the top of that list. And like you said, he would absolutely have helped himself because he's got the tape to go with it. And honestly, Bronny, I'm thinking of A&M guys that would go to that combine and really test well and put forth a eye-opening performance. And shame on us for not thinking of Regis so much ahead of time, because you and I both remember him as a recruit out of LaPorte. You saw what he could do at like 255, which was really, really unusual. Well, he ended up playing, what are you thinking about? Well over 300. I know did they say he was 292?
Yeah.
Which is wild enough to me. I know he played at well over 300 and probably approaching 310, 305 at least. But the way he moved at 255, and I think just because he was an inside guy, you just don't get to see him much in space to really appreciate that quickness and the athleticism. And shoot, man, again, we watched that guy running fade passes at tight end, going up for jump balls and playing fullback and getting handoffs and stuff in high school. And that's why that late battle ensued. It kind of came out of nowhere. And then it was the Aggies and Longhorns going at it for him there at the end. But he's a really productive player at A&M. He's a great locker room guy and leader, and he's a tough guy, but also one of those tough guys that everybody loves. So I think Regis is going to play a long time in that league.
And Cassius Howell yesterday as well, 14.52 miles per hour while rounding the corner in a pass rush drill. The only defensive lineman to exceed 14 miles per hour during the combine. He also has posted the fastest pass rush by any defensive line prospect since Will Anderson Jr. And a lot of folks are making a big deal about this arm length thing. But you listen to Todd McShay talk. He said he's been poring over the film, and he compared him, very kindly to Von Miller. Said it's not the same, but a lot of the same traits show up. I don't know, Billy. This arm length thing, I don't know that I fully buy into it. Where are you at on these guys passing measurables test compared to just playing football?
No, and that's why ultimately he's going to go late first or early second. No one's going to let him slide very far because of the football tape. And I've heard people say, well, what did he do against Texas and Miami down the stretch? Well, look, first of all, maybe the arm length thing does come into play at times, against these particularly long tackles. And you look at those two teams they played, and but to act like every NFL tackle that's an exaggeration based on what people think the NFL is. He can overcome that. He spent his whole career overcoming that, and he whipped some NFL tackles badly in games this year. That he didn't just play two NFL tackles playing Notre Dame and throughout the SEC in Miami. I can assure you of that. And he made a lot of dudes look really bad. And if you go watch that tape against Miami, they give that guy so much attention down the stretch because, again, like that, he was the number one way for your offense to get wrecked was from Cassius Howell when you're playing against Texas A&M. That was the number one way. That and probably Mike Elko's blitzes were the two ways that you would have your game turned upside down when you have the ball. So Miami didn't do much of anything to give him chances. You go watch the tape, he's getting by the tackles more than a few times in that game. It's just, A, they barely passed. B, they certainly did try to drop back and leave him there. But look, I've been seeing a lot of victory laps by people that, cover this team. I've been talking about Cassius Howell since midway through last season. And then also talked about him the minute they signed him because Mike Elko repeatedly said, and this is not my own, thoughts. This is what he repeatedly said when they got him last year behind the scenes to me when I just asked who is somebody that kind of we're not going to be talking about enough. And he would say, Cassius Howell, Cassius Howell, Cassius Howell. You know how important a get that was for them when he was in the portal out of Bowling Green, when everybody that follows this stuff were worried about 10 or 15 other guys more than him. He almost reminded me of Jace Sternberger. You think about it. Jace was so little fanfare coming from Kansas and not really being a star there. Cassius Howell led the MAC in sacks. So this is a guy that led the MAC, and he led the Big 12. He led the SEC right up till the bitter end, literally till after he was done playing. And I don't know how many guys can say that. So, yeah, I don't care about arm length, and arm length is something that scouts were telling me about him more than a year ago when they were coming through. Yeah, they said he'd be a top 15 pick, but he's got really short arms. This is not a new revelation to the NFL. So all these scouts that have been talking about him and all this insider trading and all this inside info that are leading people to put together these lists that have him, first round mocked. Everyone that, Mel Kiper and McShay and these guys don't just sit there and watch tape and put together their list, 1 to 32 or whatever. They talk to people. They get intel. They get input from all over the NFL. And that's where Cassius Howell has been, and he's been sitting there for a long time. And that's with them knowing that, hey, he doesn't have a ton of length. So I still think he goes where he goes. That 10 yards, that stat you said, the one with Will Anderson, and then the cone drill, like, dude is insanely explosive off the get off. What do you have? He had the fastest 10-yard start to the 40 of any of the D linemen, and he'll be, I think, a late first. If he's an early second, I'd be mildly surprised because I think once some of these pass rushers start going off the board, he'll become more and more of a priority.
The only outside linebacker edge player in the NFL with arms shorter than Cassius Howell right now is Nick Herbig of the Pittsburgh Steelers. In 3 years, Nick Herbig has, 16 total sacks. Pretty good for a fourth-round pick for a guy with short arms. So, again, this to your point, I don't know how much this stuff really matters. KC Concepcion is stepping in front of the microphone this morning. Billy, he's the other. I guess he and Cassius are going to get the most eyeballs in terms of early in the draft selections. When you look back at KC's career here and what he could be going forward, like the comp I think everybody is making, at least around these parts, has been Christian Kirk. Similar but different. In terms of impact, though, Billy, that's pretty close. Did Billy mute himself? Looch, you there? Is Billy in the building?
He hung up.
Oh, he hung up. He must be here. Somebody got to go let him in.
Yeah, probably time to hit a break.
Yeah, let's just hit a break here. That's so typical, Billy. All right, we come back. We'll get Looch to answer that question on the other side. This is TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner.
throw and they would stick to the wall.
Welcome back to TexAgs Live, where you just learned about the McKinney's earwax from Billy Liucci.
Did they know that it was the McKinney's I was talking about?
I think you said the Steve and Seth part.
I mean, like literally fire engine red earwax, like the color of this cup. Both of them. I don't understand it. They would Q-tip, and if you were anywhere near them, it would go and like
that's disgusting.
It would stick to the wall. There was so much. Yeah, it's a problem.
They were both heinously disgusting in college.
Yeah. Absolutely. The worst.
Billy Liucci sitting down at the desk with us, and we are going to go to Indianapolis, Indiana, where we will bring in David Nuño on the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline, the well-dressed, sharp-looking David Nuño. Good morning, Casey Concepcion in front of the mic. Well, I guess I'll hit you with a Nuño question to start. What's the vibe there?
It's a Nuño question. Guys, by the way, shout out to Snaps Clothing. They've sponsored this trip, and I'm wearing some Snaps right now. The vibe has been, I think it's a lot of fake media here. That's my vibe. I am so impressed with the way the SEC handles their events. This NFL thing, I've just...
What's got you so upset?
Yeah, somebody's got you all fired up.
I'm just being honest.
But what?
The biggest bunch of nerds I've ever seen in my life asking questions with their cell phone about a blog that they don't really have. That's what the vibe is.
I don't even know how to follow that up.
Are you going to get into a fight up there? What's going on?
No, I'm very friendly.
Somebody did
I
something
like
to
these
him.
people. I'm just being honest. It's more of a compliment for the SEC. You go to SEC Media Days, left and right, celebrities galore. Here, at least at this compound, it's a bunch of fake media, and then you've got the NBC crew, Shireen and that Mike Florio. So that's it. Laura Rutledge was here yesterday. I'm sure she's here today. She was a big wig. But, just take a look.
Laura Rutledge wears a wig? Is that what you just said?
No, she was here. I want you to look.
I'll be sure to tell her
I
that.
see Will.i.am, the fake version of him, and just a bunch of guys with their phones.
Are you going to get invited back? What is this? What's going on?
Listen, dude, I'm glad, I'm proud of the Snap sponsorship, but don't think you slap on a Snap shirt and you're above that crowd. You are that crowd.
I know. I'm about it. I
And
just
you've
realized
got-
who I am
you've
as
got-
I'm on this trip.
You've got freaking Nick Nolte with you as your sidekick.
And
there.
Travis Tritt.
Well, Nick Nolte, that's OB.
Oh, that's Nick
You know,
Savage.
like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
It's great. No, I'm very happy I'm here because the access has been really nice. I just expected something better than a cold turkey sandwich that had some icicles in it and more big media. But the access to the players has been great. We just spoke to Casey a moment ago, and you probably knew he would say this, but one of the media members did ask him, what's the biggest question mark in your game? And he said, NFL GMs and scouts are asking me about my concentration because I had 7 drops last year. That's way too many. But they love my explosiveness. They love that I can very hard to take down. One guy's not going to take me down. It takes multiple. So those are the two sides of what KC had to say about his game, but he was very honest. And he was up there for 20 minutes answering every question. And everybody wants to ask, have you talked to this team? Have you talked to that team? KC has not spoken to the Cowboys. That's the first time I have not heard the Cowboys mentioned with one of the teams talking to our Aggies.
Okay.
Do you have anything? I was going to ask you, David. Billy and I talked briefly about the impact that Albert Regis had with his performance on the field. Was he kind of the story of the day in terms of the Aggies that performed yesterday?
Absolutely. I think Cassius Howell performed at a high level like we all expected. I heard the conversation you guys had about his short arms. I believe Ruben Bain also has short arms.
Yeah.
I think 37/8. So, look, to me, put on the film, can those guys get it done? But Albert Regis, as Daniel Jeremiah said yesterday, made a lot of money with his performance. He was lighter than we remember him at A&M. He was fast, he was effective, and he was really great on the podium a couple days ago. As expected, he's a guy that when he had an opportunity to talk at A&M always did well, but he carried court here for a long time, was phenomenal. And yeah, I agree. He was probably the story of the Aggies yesterday with 4 guys participating. I know Scooby didn't do anything.
Yeah, and so just kind of lay out the remainder of the weekend for y'all's coverage up there.
Yeah, so Olin and Callie are heading back after today's session, so we'll be here. Still need to talk to Le'Veon Moss today. He'll speak at noon Central Time, and then we'll go over to Lucas Oil to get some of the workouts. Tomorrow is a very, very busy day for myself and Nick, as the 4 offensive linemen will be on the podium. So we're looking forward to talking to them. And, depending on who you talk to, guys, some people have 2 to 3 Aggies in the first round. Some have the Aggies drop those 2 of those 3 drop into the second round. But I think this week will go a long way in the way they are perceived moving forward.
Yeah, no. Who's your pick, Nuño, if you're going from here on out to have an Albert Regis type performance, or even stand out even more? Who's your pick of who's left that you think is going to shine at the Combine?
I think Le'Veon's going to shine. Well, we'll see how much he does, right? Like, I guess that's going to be a big question. If Le'Veon is allowed or does a lot of the events, I think he will shine. I wouldn't be surprised if Chase Basantis kills it on Sunday when he gets to do his events.
All right. Well, you guys are doing great work up there. First time, tons of content. I've been really pleased. I know a lot of people have been talking to me about it. Went to the Houston Rodeo cook-off last night and actually had multiple people say something about it there. One person asked, why isn't Nuño with you? Oh, yeah, I forgot he's at the Combine. And I had to gently remind them that you wouldn't have been there anyway. But
that's because you wouldn't have invited me. I would have definitely gone to the Combine to the cook-off until about 9 p.m. Absolutely.
All right, well, y'all keep it up, and we'll hold down the fort here.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Dave.
That's David Nuño joining us on the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline there from the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. Hey, listen.
What was gotten in?
Maybe you've created a culture here where we're uppity.
Yeah, think we're better than people.
Yeah.
I don't see it with Nuño.
I wonder where the toxicity started. Was it Nuño or was it because Nick will low key look at people and judge them?
I'll tell you what, Nick is and maybe Callie, but no, it's Nick. I think Nick's he's quietly has the puppet strings on Nuño.
For sure. Well, Nuño's got the mic in his hand, Nick's surveying the audience.
Or did Olin get into it with somebody?
Olin's not that perceptive. He could be.
I'm saying gotten into a,
Yeah, you don't.
Listen, I think you put a snap shirt on Nuño and you give him a compliment how it fits him, and all of a sudden, he probably pissed because he looked around the room and didn't think a lot of them worked out enough.
That's probably exactly right. You asked him a good question about who.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
Demetrius Crownover.
That's what and he's not going to shatter, like the numbers apart to themselves are not going to be like, oh my gosh. But when you compare it with what his size is going to be there, the height, the length, the
Senior
footwork, the weight, the Senior Bowl he had. Before the season, Brawny, I had multiple scouts tell me like his ceiling is like a second-round pick. Now, he could get there. I don't think he will, but third round is that's what I'm going to start really watching for his name. But just because like Trey Zune was more accomplished on the field during his career, and Trey's going to be a center in the NFL, that could play tackle if need be, which is going to make him worth his weight in gold. But Crownover being a tackle and being as light on his feet as he is, and having that athleticism and that length, and I think they're going to start to realize all those things today. They're still going to look at him as a giant piece of clay that still needs to be molded. He was not like a dominant right tackle this year, but he was a really good SEC. He was a good SEC right tackle. And his every year he's just kind of gotten better. So if the NFL, they're looking at him, do I think he'll go second? But I do think third round. And like I said, the NFL, they've been saying this about him for a couple of years now.
Yeah, there's definitely a more of a risk-reward factor with Crownover than Zune, where you feel like it's a known commodity, you know what you're going to get. It'll be interesting to see how which teams evaluate that differently, right? Who wants the safer pick? Who wants the higher upside in the middle rounds? But I agree with you. Like Crownover his upside is probably getting into the third round, and that would be fantastic for him. When you think about,
that's a great development story.
Yes, Albert Regis as well, and Mike Elko can sell that to what's coming the next crop, whether it be in the portal or whether it be the high school.
You can also, a guy you didn't mention yet, You mentioned Cassius. Obviously, we talked about him, and we're going to talk about KC. But Onyedem, Tyler Onyedem yesterday, like he's a guy. So you can sell that development with, like you said, with Regis, with Crownover, with a guy like Trey Zune. But Chase Basantis, that's a highly ranked guy that you got in that developed as expected. But you can also look at the transfer portal and what they've done. And we talked about this. I think it's safe to say that 7 of them could get drafted. Borkacher and Scooby would probably be the ifs, and I think they will, particularly Nate. But they could have 7, at least a half dozen, in my opinion, transfer portal players will get drafted. And it just, I don't know if it's, sure, Elko and company can go sell that on the recruiting trail and in the portal. It's important. But I think just for fans listening and people around the country trying to gauge, like, and it's like Elko and I talked about, the state of the program, the overall health of the program and trajectory of it. And you go, man, these guys, Elko mentioned Derek Miller, like, they know how to evaluate, they know how to find, and they know how to develop.
In the middle of all this,
And
Tommy
by find,
Tommy
portal.
Moffitt gets the strength coach of the year. So, like, you're seeing it all play out. And to your point, the fans, like, just let the guy work. Like, he's proving that he knows he's got an idea of how to run the program on a micro and a macro.
Yeah.
Very, very soon. So we're going to go to a break here, Cade. Come back. We'll kind of flip the script. We're going to talk Aggie basketball with the Longhorns coming in this weekend, Aggie baseball up in Arlington. And don't look now, but Joni Taylor officially on the bubble, as Kay Naegeli screamed.
Kay screamed.
Yeah.
Hey, she took volleyball to a national title. Don't underestimate Kay Naegeli. Luke Evangelist has his hands full right now because he's got to get basketball not only to the tournament. It's unfair to Bucky in year 1, but they got to go on like a Final Four run to live up to Luke.
We come back.
You guys got to get baseball back there.
Yeah, we got it. We got to get it back.
I got football this year.
All
Kay
right.
got volleyball.
All right, when we come back, we'll go to the hardwood. We'll talk about Luke Evangelist and Bucky McMillan's Aggies. Just Bucky McMillan's, not Luke's. On the other side, TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
being the operative word.
Welcome back. Bottom of the 10 o'clock hour, TexAgs Live.
Compulsive. Hey, guys, there's a slight coffee spill on the desk. You better get the cleanup crew in here. It's like the wolf in Pulp Fiction. They got to come and just clean everything out because there's a drop of coffee. Ronnie's backpack's in the way.
Lunch with Lucci on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers inside the Rollo Insurance Studios. Let's go over to the Angry Elephant Social Center. Reese Nygren has an observation from the combine.
Yeah, a few people pointed out Aaron Glenn passed out in the suite.
Not passed out.
Asleep in the suite. Passed out being like asleep in the suite during the combine.
Yeah, words matter, Reese.
I'm sorry.
Well, that's just first of all, I would not be the one to. You put me in that situation with those hours. I don't know how many times you'd catch me falling asleep, but yeah, I mean, I think everybody's exhausted there. But man, it must be an A&M thing because Sherman famously there was a video of him asleep at the combine years ago. I think maybe when he was with the Texans. I think after he was the head coach of the Packers, maybe. But so yeah, Mike Sherman. So Aaron Glenn was just maybe carrying on that tradition. Now we got to keep an eye on Dan, make sure he stays up. But I think it's Dan. Maybe AG. He knows they work together so long, but maybe AG needs to get Dan's coffee.
He's a big coffee guy, right?
Well, there was that famous viral clip of him talking about what he did every morning. And it was like 4 shots of espresso in the coffee to start the day. So yeah, maybe those two need to talk because I don't think we're going to see Dan falling asleep. But I think you've seen that over the years. People get caught dozing off. It's like in church. You always would see. Like if you have a sibling, if like they start falling asleep, and it's kind of like that. I'm sure because it just probably. You have moments where it gets very long and there's some downtime and things like that. So whatever. Win football games and nobody cares. Lose football games and they do care.
Speaking about a game that people are going to care about tomorrow on the hardwood, Texas and Texas A&M, an enormous matchup just because of the rivalry, but within the course of the season, a big one for Bucky and company to do the double over Texas. It went over to Austin and beat them and got a chance to sweep them on the year and really might make or break their postseason hopes.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't break, but you could look back on it, right? Like it doesn't break it because I think if you lose to Texas and beat Kentucky and LSU, you're going to be in at 11-7 in the league.
You feel certainly way better about it if you win.
Well, if you win, it's not only a win; it's a win over it's a quality win, and it's a double dip, and it gets you to 10, and you're going to be favored to win at LSU. Hell, you might be, if you beat Texas, you might be favored at home against Kentucky slightly. I mean, either way, it's going to be almost like a toss-up game there. And look, if you want to beat Kentucky, what better way than to be coming off a win over Texas and get everybody back out there a couple days later at Reed Arena and have a really confident basketball team, which, by the way, also, I think maybe with a big weight off their collective shoulder to kind of feel like, okay, we're in a much better spot than we were a few days ago. Texas is in the same boat. Now, I think Texas's required SEC record is lower than A&M's. I think that goes without saying based on some of the wins Texas has and also like who they played in the non-conference. But if Texas loses to A&M and they've got 3 losses in a row and they're sitting at 500, and then they've got a road trip to Fayetteville. So are we looking at them as a game below 500? And then the question is, then all of a sudden OU becomes a must-win game for them, just like LSU could be a must-win game for A&M, depending on how things go. So this is a massive game. It does have the ability to, in a week and a half or whatever, when we look at it, it has the ability for either team to say, like the Aggies and Longhorns both could end up, there's a formula where both of them could say that win got us in or that loss kept us out. And that's scary for both teams. I think ultimately at the end of the day, they both find their way in. I think A&M wins one of these 2 home games. Look, it sounds daunting. Luke's running scared. He goes high, he goes low, he goes high, he goes low, he goes Final Four, he goes out of the tournament. He's roller coastered this year. He's scared of these two games, and you should be, because they're both losable games. They're also both winnable games, and you're playing them at home. You've beaten Texas once already, and again, Kentucky is when I don't like a team loaded with length and athletes that can run up and down. We just saw that with Arkansas. That's a tough ask for this team, I think. But Kentucky is far from elite, and they don't like the job Pope's doing up there. They were about that close to losing to South Carolina and having them ready to blow that whole thing up. But like a week ago, Bronny, Georgia, a team A&M went down there and beat by 15. Georgia beat Texas and Kentucky. So A&M needs to, if they could do what Georgia did, they're in the tournament. We don't have to worry about what happens in Baton Rouge or Nashville.
You brought up an interesting term, confidence. And I think that when they got into the game the other night against Arkansas with all that athleticism and length, they did not play a confident brand of basketball.
No.
So I do think getting them back in front of the home crowd against the team they beat, the confidence, and like if Ruben Dominguez and Rylan Griffin and Jakari, if they're confident shooters, and Zach Clements is playing out of his mind, but that confidence starts permeating the rest of the roster, they can shoot their way into the tournament. I firmly believe that.
Yeah. And again, and they can shoot their way into a fun run in Nashville too. But it's look, they've been up and down lately. For a while there, I was saying they really only had one bad game. Florida drubbed them, but then it was Vandy. I don't think they played well there, and then it was Arkansas. Look, I mean, again, these are tournament teams, two of them on the road in notoriously tough places to play. But Vandy's another one that's been up and down. But they're just playing. This is the SEC. I mean, that's what this is. You saw Auburn beat Kentucky, and then go and get the crap beat out of them against Oklahoma in Norman right after A&M went, and it was a close game at the finish. But the Aggies kind of throughout the second half kept OU at arm's length, and then OU comes back and a couple games prior to that, OU was running Vandy out of the gym at Vandy. Vandy made a comeback and lost by I think 1 point. But my point is, welcome to the SEC right now. It's what it is. And A&M had gone from 7-1 to now just being a part of the roller coaster and the cycle. And they need to have an up cycle at home. Look, they're not in yet. And it makes you nervous because we all want to see this happen for Bucky. And
we're a little bit spoiled, though. Like the season has spoiled us.
Yeah.
If you go back and think about where we were.
But you're there. You're there.
Right.
So do it. I'm not saying it's a failure if they don't, but do it for them, for their sake. And here's the deal. If I told you, for not just this year, but you got 3 regular season games left. If you win 2 of them, you're in. And here's the situation with the 3. The 2 best teams you're playing are at home, and you've already beaten 2 of the 3 teams. So that guarantees you nothing, but imagine the alternative and what it could look like. And I'm not talking about you could be a bad team. I'm talking about what could these last 3 challenges in front of you look like. You could have 2 road games against a couple teams that have already beaten you. So anyway, I think it's set up nicely, but you're playing 2 really good teams and a team in LSU that clearly has not quit, by the way. They just beat Ole Miss. They were really right in it against Texas and Austin. So and I think they gave Tennessee quite a game too. So they're playing well. It's not easy. Who the hell in the SEC does have it easy? I go back and wish they'd have got that damn Missouri game, or even Tennessee for that matter. But then again, you want to play that game. Maybe they don't. They don't get Auburn.
I would have liked to seen. I mean, Mackenzie Mbako's a massive injury. It just kind of fades, right? But with him on the court, maybe you beat Mizzou and some of these games. Maybe Tennessee, Alabama.
I mean, what name? I mean, so
we've seen it with Aggie baseball last year. The difference in one player coming back,
and in basketball,
yeah,
one play like Caden Sorrell's a great player. He might make a play in the outfield that no one else can make. What, once a week, right? Like, I mean, maybe, right? And then he's gonna come up to the plate 4 times in a game. Basketball is so much more impactful, and I think that's one thing that some of these teams have had that A&M does not, and they could have it on a given game, right? Rylan Griffin's been that, Aggie's been that, Clements, but Mbako could have been a finisher, a closer, a last possession, get him the ball, clear it out, let him create and score. I watched Missouri the other night, against Tennessee, and they used that T.O., the point guard, and he just closed it out. He was incredible. He was unstoppable. In Knoxville, amen, closed A&M out. The other night, Acuff had Richmond early, but Acuff had a quiet first half, and then down the stretch, it was like he was just toying with A&M, just like he did Bama. Like these closeout guys, Bama's got one. That in theory was Mbako. So I think if they'd have him, based on what I've seen from this team, now you'd have had to assimilate him to get that same team dynamic. But by the way, he's also 6'9".
That's what I'm saying. Like the combination, like what AG has done and what Clements has done in the in and out game, you add another more skilled body to that.
I don't want to say they're an SEC title contender because Florida exists and they might end up going 16-2, but I think they're competing with Arkansas, Bama, and Tennessee for second. No question about it. I mean, they're only 2 games off of that pace anyway.
Real quickly before the break, I don't know, you're talking about it before you got here in the back. Like the turnaround, I don't know what Joni Taylor's club's going to do, like where they're going to end up, but the turnaround from where they were, 1-7, 1-8 in the league.
Not even really competitive.
Not competitive at all. I had a second half where they scored 2 points in a quarter. And to at least be mentioned on the bubble, this is one of the more remarkable in-season turnarounds that I can remember. Right in the middle of the season. It's like, Buzz had that.
You could do it with, because Buzz was up, they were up, then they were down, and they were up. You could do it with the last year's baseball team as far as a remarkable turn, but we knew the talent, and you knew, hey, you got a superstar player back, and you knew that, it was there, and they're not overwhelming anyone with talent in this conference. I think she's done a pretty incredible coaching job, and we've all covered this stuff for years.
Just not letting them lose belief.
We've done this for years, and if there was a guaranteed win on the schedule, I think that SEC teams were looking at, as we're sitting here trying to do with A&M basketball, they're looking at the A&M women's team, and they're circling it and go, okay, we should win that one, that one, that one. Not anymore. And they were that team. They were kind of a gimme win, and now it's like, not only do you have to play well to beat them, that still might not be enough with the way they're playing right now. I'm really happy for Joni and her staff because I just think they've had a rough run of it between some of these portal exits and fighting for NIL and just in this league too. If you don't get off to to a strong start, and I was talking to Elko about that the other day. I was like, how important was it to break through in year 2? Because the days of being Gary Pinkel at Missouri or Mark Stoops at Kentucky or A&M where it's his first year and he's got to get his whole roster. So by year 3, it'll be his whole those days are over. It's NIL. The coaches have to go and push to push that rev share and the salary cap envelope as far as possible. So you're adding pressure on yourself, but you have to, or you can't compete. So I was talking to Elko, how important was it in year 2 to break through? Because Steve Sarkisian, had they been in the SEC, I think that deal would have been in real
look
trouble.
What happened at Auburn. Look what happened at Florida. Those guys
everywhere.
They didn't break through, and they're gone by year 3 or 4.
And Napier lasted what, 4? but he was gone by
Yes.
year 3 because the damage is done. So, like, for Elko to break through, and it's in every sport in this conference, and Mike Early is facing that this year, where it's like, you got to break through early, or like you like to say, it's getting late early. That's what, for any coach in this league, with how competitive it is, you got to really kind of, and so that didn't happen for Joni, and it becomes so difficult to dig out from under that. And the fact that they're doing it right now on the court is really impressive, and I'm just so happy for Kay Naegeli.
If they go on the road,
all she does is cover,
does everything we
championships
need.
and amazing stories.
And she does everything we need here.
Well, I was kind of making a joke, but if we're being serious, absolutely.
And if they go on the road and they beat Ole Miss, they go from next 4 out probably into the first 4 out, and then it starts getting really interesting.
Yeah.
So something to watch for on a busy sports weekend here in Aggie. When we come back, we'll close the show, get Billy's quick thoughts on what's going on in Arlington this weekend.
Beat Texas twice. Like, how awesome would that be? They had the chance last year. They were up 24 in the second half against Texas in Austin and let that one go, and then lost in the SEC tournament there. And I felt like that game and then that tournament game really started that buzz separation with the fan base that I think he kind of perpetuated, and made, maybe just knowing him maybe made bigger than it was, and kind of getting one foot out in front of the whole thing. Go beat these guys twice. How awesome would that be? Just to go 2-0, give a big hit to their tournament resume in front of the home fans. Easier said than done. Texas is a terrific offensive team, but their defense lacks. And if A&M, like you said, if they come out and shoot well, this could be a fun one. But they gotta play well. Texas is ask Florida, ask Alabama, ask Vandy who they beat by 20, Georgia who they beat by 20. This is a good team. A&M's going to have to play well to win.
We come back, we'll close the show. We may go a little bit overtime. We'll get Billy's thoughts on what's going to happen in Arlington for Aggie baseball on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. All right, real quick segment here. We are going to go on to overtime. Kate, I don't have that overtime read. So you want to read it once we get started to make sure that we get that sponsorship read in. So stick with us on TexAgs. We will go overtime with Billy as we get
finish texting this, Bronny. I just telling Logan it's good to talk to someone with a feel for SEC basketball in the NCAA tournament, because he was giving me and you a hard time, and I was just like, man, it's just good to be able to talk to someone with a feel for this thing.
You know, since he's left the building, he likes to chirp from afar. Yeah. He needs to be put in his place.
Logan goes and gets kicked around. Like, Logan and Olin go on there, and Louis Bellina just imposes his will on those guys. Every week I have to watch it, and it's like, or listen to it, and they're like, just like, they just agree. They've given up the will to fight back. It's pitiful. I had Louis repeatedly saying that if they lost to LSU, it was a quad 3 or 4 loss. And our old basketball guy would not correct that. It's factually incorrect.
And listen,
today it's a quad 1.
When you're sitting in, like,
at worst, it's a quad 2.
And what you're saying about being beat down, like, we don't like correcting you. Yeah. Because you're like, oh, you're the grand corrector. Yeah. So you just let it happen.
That's what you do.
What you've done to Richard and I and David.
No,
Louis has done that to Logan.
But you know when it's enough that needs to be corrected.
Yep. All right.
If I said, if there's one little thing off, that's where you don't want to be the grand corrector.
All right. We are going to TexAgs overtime. Thanks so much for tuning in this week. David and company back with you on Monday morning. TexAgs Live presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
And now we go to Reese Nygren on the call.